resources for building reserves. And I want to address the question that was raised earlier on, that aren't we concerned about the blood clot, minerals? One of the reasons why we have not begun buying gold yet is exactly to address that. We are trying to establish what we call a chain of custody, where we have the traceability of this gold. We are only going to buy gold that is mined locally. We will be able to tell that on such and such a day, we went to this mine in Bueju, we went to Wagagai, we went to, you name all these mines here, all right? And we bought this gold and we have the certificate that it was produced on this day, so that there's a chain of custody. We are able to trace every ounce of gold that we are buying to mitigate your concerns about the Dodd-Frank Act. So that chain of custody traceability is what we have been putting in place. So your concerns, your fears have been addressing that area. And then the other issues on the disruption are things like, I think we have learned a lesson, the way tariffs are being imposed across countries by some advanced economy. So the question is, can you continue relying on that market for your export growth? Or do you need to develop your regional markets? And that's why government is taking the approach of promoting regional integration within the EAC, within COMESA, and within the African Union. But even as we address those, we also need to be mindful of some of the non-tariff barriers these member countries also impose on fellow member countries of the region. So that is something for government and the concerned regional integration arrangements to address. But we want to promote that intra-regional trade. And that's why Bank of Uganda is now working with the Uganda Banks Association to promote exports of light manufactured goods, agro-processed goods into the regional markets, because we want to diversify away from those sources where we're having those challenges. You talk of supply side disruptions. Why would you have to rely on a ship that is supposed to pass through Suez Canal, going through Cape Town, and by the time it arrives in Mombasa, the cost is high, and then you pay a higher price? Why don't you, if the regional market can take your goods, focus on your regional market? So those are some of the things. And then, of course, the issue of financial instability globally, which is going to make interest rates for borrowing from the financial markets relatively higher. So we're saying, why don't we develop our own domestic sources of financing? So all those issues I talked about, you said, okay, let's promote the small borrowers. We are rolling out a project called Okusevinga project, where a border rider, where a vegetable seller, where a hairdresser can be able to buy a government of Uganda security for as low as 10,000 shillings. So we're trying to mobilize those savings from those bottom of the pyramid. Currently, you need about 100,000 shillings to participate in the government security, but we're lowering it to 10,000 to enable all these fellows at the bottom to partake of the securities market that Uganda is offering. We're also promoting what we call the mutual trust, where all the small savers pool their money together for purposes of investment. So that's what we are doing in terms of moving away from this, from the disrupted world. And of course, the disrupted world is going to result into higher goods, the price of goods and services, which will make it inflationary. For anything that we are importing, the prices are going to be higher because of those tariffs. So what we're doing at the central bank is we're enhancing our capacity to deal with inflation, to mitigate the impact of that. So in brief, this is how the central bank is trying to deal with a disrupted world. There are more other things that the government is pursuing. For example, the pharmaceuticals. Why should you continue relying on the pharmaceuticals market in the US? Can't you promote the pharmaceutical market, market in the region here? So these are some of the issues that we are talking about. Then, let me now go to the issue of SCEF and SBRF. Yes, you are right. You are right that some banks, when you go there, they either tell you that they don't have that money because they want to promote their products. We've been having plenty of town hall meetings. We've been going round the whole country, talking to the people about our products. And this is a common concern. And as a central bank, we have taken note of it. One, at the moment, we are doing what we call a moral suasion. We are telling the commercial banks that this SCF, the Small Business Recovery Fund, agricultural facilities, don't treat it like a substitute to your own products. But as a spirit of patriotism, right, you need to not treat it like that. Now, if it doesn't work, we are asking government to increase the capitalization. Once we have enough capital for SCF, we are going to take actions that are going to change this whole thing. So that's what we're planning on that. Now the question was, why don't you give this money to an agricultural bank? Colleagues, I have not seen any application submitted to Bank of Uganda to open an agricultural bank or to open a cooperative bank. Bank of Uganda has not stopped anyone from bringing an application that we want an agricultural bank. I challenge you, bring an application today. If you meet the requirements, you have the business model, and you have a proper management team, there's nothing that will stop Bank of Uganda from issuing that thing. We have not put a moratorium on opening of banks. So don't be misled. And there's a reason why the capital basis for commercial banks have been revised. We have various tiers of financial institutions. We have tier 4 where you have the micro financial institutions, money lenders, and the business. We have tier 3s, right, where you have the micro deposit taking institutions. You have tier 2 where you have the credit institutions. We have tier 1s. All these institutions intermediate. They're all intermediate resources. So please go to that institution that fits your capital. We cannot bring this, we cannot begin segregating. You're a bank, you're supposed to pay 150 billion, others are paying 20 billion. It's not good for a financial sector. If you don't have 150 billion and you have 25 billion or something, go and become a tier 2. That will not stop you from intermediating. Tier 2s intermediate. When you have enough capital to become a bank, you become a bank. So there's a provision for all forms of intermediation. You don't have to be a bank to intermediate. So go to where your capital allows you to go. Okay? And then I agree with the issue of patient capital. I think I labored to say that patient capital is very, very important. Honorable Senator, yes, we need reforms in the pension sector. And that's why I say let's have a conversation. I also talked about bonds, expanding the bond structure, right, to bring in different type of bonds, sukuk bonds, infrastructure bonds, diaspora bond, green bonds. We are working on that, and I don't want to preempt the minister's budget speech, but we are working on that. All right? So we are trying to make sure that we mobilize long-term finance. Now, someone said, why don't you ask commercial banks to use their profits for long-term financing? Again, Honorable Soundela. You see, we cannot use commercial banks for development financing. The way commercial banks have been set up is not for development financing. If we want development financing, we need to unlock long-term savings. And if commercial banks can mobilize deposits of 10 years, it becomes easier for them to finance investments of 10 years. You cannot mobilize a deposit of 1 year to finance an investment of 10 years. What do you do when the borrower comes to withdraw the money? I think that is a challenge. So in the meantime, we need to recapitalize UDB. We need to work with the UDC. How can government do that while we are opening up long-term financing? But to ask commercial banks to use short-term savings, to use their profits for a business for which they were not licensed, I think is a bit of a stretch. And then I think I have talked to the issue of appropriating. Yes, I agree on the SCF again, but also sometimes it might be true that banks have run short of money on that, because there are some particular banks that are very, very active in SCF. I look at all these applications, they come through. They are very active. In fact, sometimes they overgive and they don't have enough. So they have to until they are reimbursed. And that's why we're saying that we need to increase the capitalization of SCF and SBRF. And once we've done that, then we can go and deal with the banks in that area. And then, of course, in terms of the other reforms that we're taking, we are working very closely with the National Identification Registration Authority of linking people's national identification numbers to their accounts, even to their mobile numbers if you're trying to borrow. And this alone is helping us in terms of identifying the borrowers for purposes of know your customer, and also for when you default. If you default, your default will be recorded at the Credit Reference Bureau, and it becomes difficult for you to borrow money, right? Because it will be attached to your ID number. Wherever you go, it will be shown. So these are some of the reforms that we're trying to ensure that people do not default, that we all become good borrowers. If you have a problem repaying, negotiate with your bank. Honorable Kiras, I don't know whether I've answered all the questions because there were quite many. Yes, it is it's a big challenge. We have what we call a demographic dividend, but that thing can become a curse if we don't deal with it. It is an issue that needs all the stakeholders to come together and discuss. The central bank on its own does not have a solution to it. It is a multifaceted, a multi-stakeholder discussion. And at a national level, bringing all the politicians, bringing all the civil servants. This is a big issue. This population can turn to be a dividend, or it can turn to be a curse. So we need to have a serious conversation. So, Honorable Secretary, I agree with you entirely that we need to have discussion on it. Sorry? Okay. We have licensed 3 circles, and I've not seen a requirement for them to meet the 10 billion. No. Because the issue is that those who have 500 billion as capital and savings of 1.5 need to be supervised by Bank of Uganda. But the licenses I've seen have not required them to pay the 5 billion for the MDIs. That's the best I know about it. Okay. Now,
Governor, I would like to request, first wait, I would like to request, because on a number of issues, you have alluded to a conversation. Let's have a conversation. Let's have a conversation. I'm convinced that in these few minutes where we are already time bad, I'm very convinced we cannot do much. Can we select people, especially those that have raised these very pertinent issues, and then request you to organize that conversation? Yeah, so that we sit and have a more in-depth discussion. And it's not only about what you're talking about, even the long-term financing, bonds and all that. you said, let's have a conversation. That conversation cannot be only by yourselves. Listen to our voices. I am a beneficiary of the agriculture loan facility, but the interest I pay is the same interest I was paying when I had another loan from that same bank. Yeah, I'm highly indebted. But anyhow, I'm under pressure. Governor, if you are committing, do you see how beautiful it is for you to interact with us? One question I will answer on his behalf is about, on one side you're talking about inflation being low and priding yourselves about it. On the other, the citizens are saying too far. We are dying, we don't have money in our pockets. How do you reconcile the two? Yesterday, I think from yesterday, we've been hearing and listening to interventions that are meant to bring people into the money economy. Am I right? Yeah, so Musevenomics, which we have been discussing, and I think that may be out of the governor's hands. That is income distribution or economic development versus economic growth. How do you redistribute? So the interventions should be for the economists, and then, because we are hungry, we want somebody to give us answers. So we are bombarding you, even things that we should be asking the Minister of Finance, even things that we should be asking the planners for this country. Now that we have you here, we want to bombard you. Can we have the conversation, and when and who wants to be on that table? I think people want to register now.
Okay, can I answer the question on UCB? You're right that at the time when UCB was taken over by Stanbic Bank, it was profitable. Yes. I agree with you. But you need to understand, why was it profitable? UCB had been stopped by Bank of Uganda from lending to the public. So what UCB was doing, it was merely buying government securities. The profitability that UCB recorded was a result of purely holding government of Uganda securities. UCB was never licensed to hold government securities. It was licensed to lend money. Now, when they lent money, they made losses. When they held government securities, they made profits. So the time when UCB was sold, it was because they were holding government securities and not lending money to the general public. That's why UCB was profitable at the time it was sold. I thank you.
Allow me to close this here and invite Professor Kiza. We can hold on to our questions because the presentations are related. Is it burning? Okay, I don't want anyone to explode. Kindly, because it would be terrible that this conference ended with an explosion.
Governor, I thank God.
Where are the media? This is very serious.
For the opportunity I've had to address you. Mr. Governor, I am Eric Rubega. I am the Minister of Security in the entire National Fellowship for Born Again Churches in Uganda. Last week, we were in a Kororo praying for our country, and His Excellency came and closed that event. He apologized. There are quite a thing of things you need to apologize. So we need to meet you, pray for you, and tell you more. Our motto says, our God and what? And our country. But we have forgotten God. Let's make an appointment. This is my request first. Appointment to meet you. Then forget it. Now I'm 73. I'm born in Kampala here. I know what is happening in this country. Finally, it's marking ball. Finally, marking ball. So we need also to transform. But the only sector that can do that is the religious one. We need to pray for you, Governor. And the moment you accept that, you will see the whole world. But you just talk on economy and economy. No, that's the economy with the art. Fact. You see people here in the suits, but in the pocket there is no money. And yet for us without shoes, there is money in the pocket. Why? Because it's body fat. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Chair, Honorable Chair, the Governor, the Central Bank, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I stand on the protocol that has been established. And I request the IT team to flash my PowerPoint. My name is Julius Kiza. I was invited because the organizers, UDF, Dr. Edward Katendi and others, have agreed that the elites, baby-faced elites like you, should interface with sons of peasants like me. And so I came to represent and amplify the voice of the Wananchi, the voice of the voiceless. And I am honored to be able to come with some of my young students. I baptized them junior monks. Could you please wave? Aha. I have trained many thousands, but I thought it is not good for an old man to interface with people who control the commanding height of the political economy without bringing along some young people who will process my retirement. So they need to be here. Kindly help them get jobs. They don't have jobs yet. You have heard the governor. The governor is here. And the Minister of Finance, the PSST. The big people are here. Kindly help these young people get jobs. They need to get jobs so that they can benefit from inclusion, the inclusivity of the economy. The topic I was asked to comment on is titled Deploying Musevenomics for National Economic Salvation in the Age of the Toxic Policies of Donald Trump. So deploying Musevenomics for national economic salvation signifies that there are sins of commission or omission. So the preacher, you are in the right place. So in other words, we need to be able to think through and see how Musevenomics could help us. In terms of outline, I'm proposing that I briefly state the nature of the debate. I raise the central argument. I will not spend time on conceptualization because that has been done, but I will highlight the multidimensionality of Musevenomics. And I want to approach it from the comprehensive security architecture perspective, to be able to understand that Musevenomics is looking at a big dimension of issues. I will end my submission with an outline of what I propose, especially for National Development Plan number 4. I am proposing that we appreciate that in the state of the debate, we are seeing 3 distinctive categories of commentators. The first is the category, the person in the IT kindly, wake up. You are sleeping on the job. Yes, these are the distinctive varieties of debates. The first is a variety coming from regime elites. The second is coming from the critics, particularly those in the opposition. The third is academics. Regime elites are predominantly saying Musevenomics is working. We stabilized the economy. We did inflation targeting, IMF style. We are doing macroeconomic stabilization. Everything is working, including the border economy, which is being classified by very, very highly respected bankers as a mode of inclusivity. I will beg to disagree. Now, the opposition critics sometimes go overboard to argue that Musevenomics is actually working for regime elites and their close allies. That what we are having is good growth, which is nevertheless jobless growth. That we are having 67% of our youth unemployed, and I'm talking about graduate unemployment, not national unemployment, that we are having infrastructure deficits which are not being met, and where we try, the infrastructure we build is not for the 21st century. We are building narrow Wakaliga roads. Narrow. We are building road reserves. And one of the churches at Kubiri, near Makerere, is built in a reserve. Instead of destroying the churches, we go to ask for waters to be blessed. So in other words, critics are saying that yes, there is growth, but this growth needs to be interrogated because it is not delivering the Uganda we want. The academia are coming to say that we need to give credit where credit is due. But that means appreciating what's going right, but then being able to work on the shortcomings. The central claim of the academia is that Musevenomics must be seen as an instrument of what the German political economists call Staatsbildung, which means building a strong, capable state, building strong institutions, transforming the economy into a high-tech industrial manufacturing economy, and promoting the wealth of the nation, defined as the citizenry. The central argument I pose is in simple language called Kiswahili. Uzuri wa kitu kwa nje si usalama wa ndani. And I know the chair of the session knows Swahili, but also my sister, the moderator of yesterday, knows. Would you like to translate for us? Since this is a dialogue, I want to repeat. Uzuri kwa nje si usalama wa ndani. Kindly tell the people. Chair. The chair is not with me. This means that looks can be deceptive. That looks might hide underlying contradictions. That whereas there is a lot that appears nice, the skyline is changing, the hills are changing, the cars are increasing, that not everything that glitters is gold. For Chairman Mao, it does not matter whether the cat is black or white. What matters is whether it can catch the mice. Albert Einstein argues, and I quote, "You cannot do the same thing over and over again at the same pace with the same regularity and expect a different outcome." That for Einstein signifies the art of stupidity. The question becomes, are the dominant ideational norms, institutional configurations, and political economy strategies delivering the Uganda we want, the Africa we want? The corollary of that is very simple. In what ways can Musevenomics be deployed for national economic salvation in the age of Donald Trump's toxic economic policies? I am inviting us to go back to the basics. And kindly, the IT person, kindly flash that map. This is the basic question that President Museveni raised. And the question was simple. What is Africa's problem? You are seeing a huge continent. Within this continent, you can sandwich the biggest economies of the world, including USA, including China, second biggest, including now India, third biggest, including Germany, including Japan. You can sandwich these biggest economies and remain with space for other tiny things like UK, which fits in Madagascar. And you have others, in all of them sandwiched in Africa. In other words, for the mainstream economists, Africa has potential. The question from the citizenry is, who eats potential? We want deliverables. Could we please go to the next slide? This is, now I'm flashing, I don't know what's happening with the IT team. The headlines need to be shown because the IMF has estimated the global economy 2024 to be $110 trillion. The question for you and me, and for Musevenomics, is what proportion of the $110 trillion is coming to Africa? Africa does not seem to exist on this economic map. What we are seeing is a share for USA, a share for China, a share for India, Germany, and other emerging economies. Africa does not exist. Finally, flash the next. About 50% of the $110 trillion across the world is controlled by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 countries. Now you are people who have studied and defeated the best and brightest in Cambridge, in Southampton, in MIT, in UCLA, University of Sydney. You have defeated them in class. How come you're not governing our economy to deliver wealth? Can we see the next slide, please? Now this next slide is doing reinvention of economic statistics. Statisticians are my friends. But the problem with the statistics is that sometimes they measure what is measurable, not what really measures. They count what is countable, not really what counts. This balloon, as a model of simplifying, using infographics to represent GDP per capita, the wealth of the nation per capita, is trying to show the proportionate share of each region of the world. Again, you are seeing USA, Western Europe, you're seeing Korea and Japan, and you're seeing China. Africa is statistically absent. Statistically, you can see it is squeezed in the middle, right in the middle. Statistically, we don't exist in the world economy. Could we please go to the next slide? Now, these are the questions I'm inviting us to pose. What did the rich and powerful economies do to become rich and powerful? This is a political economic question President Museveni is interested in. He might not pose it that clearly, but I teach it in the global political economic class. Countries that succeeded did the following to become rich and powerful. Number one, they adopted state-guided economic nationalism, not economic liberalism. What are we preaching the people here? All the best and brightest economists are saying, we did it. We liberalized the economy. We sold Uganda Commercial Bank. We sold Produce Marketing Board. We opened capital accounts, full capital account liberalization. You are celebrating a mirage. From the perspective of development, you create the wealth first. You grow the wealth, transform the economy, then you open up when you are ready to compete. We did put the horse before the cart. Number two, all successful economies embarked on a distinctive state-building project that meant building a powerful army, building state institutions, including the bureaucracy, being able to embark on industrialization, industrial manufacturing, and being able to ensure that the economy and public institutions work for citizens, not just for the elites, not for foreigners. How much are we measuring there? We appear to be constructing an economy for a few elites and foreigners, not the ordinary citizen. So we are getting it wrong. Number three, export of gold and silver was prohibited or even criminalized. It was defined as hemorrhage. What are we doing? Full capital account liberalization. Foreigners are free to bring in as much money as they wish and take out as much as they wish. This contradicts the history of development, Musevenomics style. Number four, nationalistic industrial policies were not just put in place. Protectionism was the norm. Babysitting infant industries. The idea is that you cannot call upon a child who is 2, 3 years, 10 years to compete with somebody like me who has perfected the art of eating. You allow the baby to grow. This is why Mwalimu Julius Nyerere's message is beginning to sink slowly but surely. There are rules for boxing, but you don't put a heavyweight in the same ring as a featherweight. That would be unfair. It is suicide. Number five, export of raw materials was regulated. I'm not saying don't export raw coffee. I'm not saying don't export tea in raw form. I am saying regulate it. Why? You need some income. But you regulate it. Why? We need the raw materials for domestic industries, which we must create. So this idea of celebrating the bags of coffee exported, my friends, we are speaking a long language. If that model was working, why do we have 67% of my students, graduate students, unemployed? Why is it that the share of public finance to GDP is hovering at 14% over 40 years of visionary leadership? There must be something that needs rethinking. Number six, import of capital goods promoted. Why? Capital goods encourage us to produce wealth. So we encourage, in the early stages, that's a good thing. So you may have a balance of payments issue, but if you have imported capital goods, that's a good situation. It means we create the wealth and we are able to grow rich. Export of capital goods prohibited, actually rendered criminal. What did we do to leader spinning mills? We adopted economic liberalism, invited foreigners, and the foreigners stole our capital goods, leader spinning mills. They knocked down the machines and took them. Now leader spinning mills is actually a store, a grain store. You need to visit. This is your country. We do research and you need to come on board. Import of finished products, heavily regulated. What are we doing? We have turned Uganda into a supermarket economy. If I were to ask an honest question, how many of us will stay naked if we said, anybody not wearing Ugandan textiles, we undress you? By a show of hands, how many of us will stay naked if we removed imported textiles? Now, even the person raising is in a suit, this Gucci, imported from France. I know him because I know his tastes. So, my friends, I'm asking this question because we are crying, where are the jobs for our children? Where is the revenue for the state? If we don't create the wealth here, we should know the consequences. Number 7, export of skills was criminalized. And the chair is saying how long I need to go. How much time do you give me? If you say it's dialogue, I can stop anytime you want me, madam. But if it's 10 minutes, I'll finish. Okay, thanks. Madam is getting hungry, and you never know, she might be expecting a baby. Now, infrastructure development was treated as a matter of priority. My friends, those of you, especially those of you in the economy, I am uncomfortable hearing a conversation, debates over broad highways. The economics from Southampton, especially monetary economics, says we want to balance the books. It doesn't make economic sense. My friends, returns on infrastructure do not happen in the first 5, 10, 15 years. They happen over the long term. But the object of infrastructure is to unlock the economy. So why are we building narrow roads? Why are we not learning from those that developed ahead of us? The Autobahn in Germany. South Africa has broad highways. And many of you are always on the plane. I see some of you. Why do we not learn? Why is it that we see good things and when we come here we do things which are myopic? Why should we have a debate on standard gauge? We are latecomers. We need to unlock the opportunities. The secret of the nation, the secret, sir, the next slide, sir. The secret of the wealth of nations is abundantly clear. Number 1, effective statecraft involves building powerful states, powerful industrial manufacturing economies, and enriching the citizenry. Now, development of the nation, according to Raoul Prebisch and others, is something we must take seriously. And I want to make a quote. The chair is saying I should hurry. The next slide, please. That next slide, the quote is old. Those constructing wisdom in universities are saying, quote, the last publication of the last 5 years. They are hiding this information from us. This is Rao and Prebisch. Rao Prebisch and Singer, 1950s, writing. They are saying, and I quote, the terms of trade for developing countries will be in long-term decline if they remain exporters of primary commodities and importers of high-value added manufactures. The next slide, please. According to President Museveni, Africa is the world's greatest donor. We are the biggest donor to the world. That's why we are poor. By exporting industrial raw materials, Africa donates jobs, donates wealth, donates value chains which are externalized, and revenue to foreigners. That view upholds the point of Ndikumana and Boyce, who wrote a book known as Africa's Odious Debt. I'm told it's okay to quote some sources, since you are all graduates. It's okay to sound a little academic, isn't it? Now, the view being advanced on export of raw materials is critical of the French physiocrats. Historically, French physiocrats also mentioned in Musevenomics, were believing in God-given wealth, peasantry farming. And I have a friend here who insists we need food. Yes, the best way of ensuring food security is through income security, not by growing. You don't want all of us to go and grow crops. You want to ensure income security as a means to food security. In fact, whenever there is a famine, whenever there is a crisis, the greatest victims of famine are farmers, not industrial manufacturers. If farming really pays, why is it farmers that are the greatest victims of famine? Why is it that the most food secure people are those that are income secure? I'm inviting us to rethink this received wisdom as we plan for NDP 4. Julius Nyerere said, and I quote, siri ya maendeleo ni watu, ardhi na uongozi bora. Meaning the secret to development lies in people, the power of the people, the citizens, land, and good leadership. I agree with all, except the issue of land. Because the issue of land is pushing us to look at land as the most important means of survival. And so you have a former Minister of Finance professing that he's now a farmer. Surely you're competing with peasants. Allow me to submit that nchi ya washamba ni nchi ya washenzi. We have to transform, and I will not translate that. Nchi ya washamba ni nchi ya washenzi. We have to transform the economy into an industrial manufacturing economy. I wouldn't like to see a professor of a university competing with peasants. No, we are underutilizing your competencies. We are underutilizing an economist competing with peasants. So why are you competing with peasants? Because when you are in office, you did not transform the economy. It would be wrong for a governor of the central bank to retire into peasant farming, or to stay in office and say until God takes me, as Tumsino Mutebile did. Can we transform the economy to create wealth? So for Mwalimu JK, for Mwalimu Julius Kiza, who is me, Mwalimu Julius Nyerere is the senior, I'm the junior. For Mwalimu JK, the information to me is abundantly clear. Katika karne ya 21, ngao ya taifa ni utengenezaji, si ukulima. Tupo pamoja? I want to repeat. Katika karne ya 21, ngao ya taifa ni utengenezaji, si ukulima. Who wants to translate for us? Madam Chair, kindly translate and I will stop soon. Please kindly translate for us. I want to repeat, because teachers believe in repetition as a method of teaching. We are East Africans, but we have not interested ourselves in Kiswahili, even under Musevenomics.
Asante sana ndugu.
Nashukuru.
This is my elder brother. The spelling there is Taifa, not Taija. What is written on the slide is a typo. It should be ngao ya taifa ni utengenezaji na sio ukulima. In the 21st century and going beyond, the shield of a nation is industry and not farming.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yes, it's a typo. Thank you for correcting my error. So we want to agree that you are not going to create wealth of the nation if we stay stuck in peasant farming. Why? Nchi ya washamba ni nchi ya washenzi. Now, the Uganda, the Africa we want, must be characterized by the following. Number one is a structural transformation from the Garden of Eden into a high-tech manufacturing economy. Why? In Swahili we say, uhuru bila nguvu ya kiuchumi ni hewa kabisa. That if you claim you have freedoms but no economic power, that is empty talk. That's why we must transform the economy from the Garden of Eden, which we received from the Creator, into a high-tech manufacturing and high technology economy. Number two, we need a fundamental change from poor quality services to high-tech services of the knowledge economy and of the digital economy. I still hear people, well-refined monetarists, economists, and other professions celebrating that Uganda is exporting our children to the Middle East. Shame upon you. How can you celebrate the export of our citizens into slave labor in the 21st century? This is a shame. It's embarrassing. How can you continue to celebrate prostitution because that's a service? How can you, well-trained economists are saying tourism is our largest export earner? Wait a minute. Tourism is a commodity service. It means you are inviting foreigners to come and see you in your state of nature with no value addition. So why should you celebrate that? Why? That in fact the president calls that a vulnerable economy. But I'm seeing the planners, NPA, are putting tourism among sectors that must be promoted. You are putting music, and you showed somebody here a star that your priorities. Hello? Why are you fooling us? The singer, now I think that is politics, not political economy. Now I'm inviting us to appreciate that even what we classified as presidential initiatives, you are misleading the president. Tailoring in the 21st century, hairdressing, does that require presidential support? Why wouldn't you address the skills of the digital economy, the 21st economy? Why? We are saying the economy is transforming. So I'm inviting us to appreciate that we need to rethink. The border economy is a shame upon us. It is a shame. It is a false model of inclusivity. These, I'm not saying shoot them down. I'm not saying remove them forcefully and put them nowhere. Now I'm saying there is a civilized way. You put them in business, technical, vocational institutions and training. Train them into the skills of the 21st century. Redeploy them. And that way, you've solved the problem on the streets, but you replace, they are feeling a vacuum. Remember, nature hates a vacuum. They are feeling a vacuum because you and I killed public transport. The buses and the trains which were there. And they have come to feel a vacuum. And they have felt the vacuum in a very false way. They are a nuisance. For me, it is embarrassing to hear a well-trained, refined economy saying borders, these are a symbol of inclusion. If you remove them, the economy will collapse. That's a lie. Okay, now, the chair is saying I stop, but can I do two parts? Just two. Number one, the next slide, please. I am presenting this, the Africa we want. Five minutes. Thank you very much for clarifying. The chair doesn't have a word to ask. Okay. Okay. Let me run through, because I think for policymakers here, I want to highlight this quickly and say that for Musevenomics, security was given primacy. Very, very important. And a number of people, when I say security is important, they say, are you the preacher of the Machiavellian rulers in Africa? No, we all need security of the individual and of property. The problem with Musevenomics elites is that they forgot that security is comprehensive. The focus has been on two things: regime security and state security. We forget other dimensions such as human security, social security, economic security, which is through decent work, according to the National Labour Organization, which is through infrastructure which works, which is through livelihoods, means of livelihoods which are not border, not hairdressing. Some people do those, but those are not really, you're hanging in there. You are not resilient if you're doing some of these funny things. Now, cyber security is the other important thing. So, as you proceed to your policy spaces, can you kindly broaden the Musevenomics dimension of security to address the comprehensive security architecture? Next slide is questions raised by Musevenomics. I will not go over them, madam, because they were posed already. But the question we need to pose is whether there is a coherent political economy message, a coherent interpretation of Musevenomics. I've shared slides, but I will not speak to them. Godba was one of them, and Professor Laro Tunu and Aaron Magezi, you read their ideas. I will not go to their point because I'm being told to hurry. Could we please go to the next? Until you see that interesting figure. The next one, please. The next. Aha, this one. I want us to appreciate that Musevenomics is talking democracy. And I want us to agree that dissent is normal. That if Kiza, Mwalimu JK, cannot agree with myself on all things I do, because I say, should I do this or this one? Should I go for the conference or I go to teach my children at Makerere? So I may not agree with myself all the time. How about 2-3 people? How about 45 million Ugandans? So dissent is normal. Because people armed with different theories, different values, different backgrounds may look at the same empirical reality and disagree. Just like these two guys are looking at the same thing. One is saying it is 6, the other is saying it's 9. This is absolutely normal. And Musevenomics says, look, this is normal. The next slide, please. Now, this one is summarizing Musevenomics. I'm going to leave behind the PowerPoint. I want to be very disciplined. The chair is saying discipline, discipline, discipline. Can I go now? Have you presented that picture, sir? Because somebody is complaining. We are not painting the global political economy space. Please. Kindly, the next one. That one is showing you what's happening. It is summarizing. You can see people saying, you, come on, you. They nearly boxed each other, but somehow, thank God, perhaps it was the security that lifted one of these men out of the White House and was able to say, look, save the nation. Now, traditional models, and this is part of the global political economy architecture, that the traditional models built on multilateralism and open markets are now strained by the rise of nationalistic economic policies. I wrote on economic mercantilism, economic nationalism, for my doctoral thesis. This was several decades before Trump one came to office. But never did I ever expect that America would be a leader in reviving economic mercantilism. So in other words, I am a prophet, because the truth has come to pass. And we are seeing China, which has been very protectionist, babysitting its farms, and it embarks on major reforms in 1978, when a number of you people are already born. 1978. Now China is the second largest economy in the world. But that's not all. China is the workshop of the world, manufacturing electronics, high-tech products, robots, products which are doing work done by artificial intelligence. And 1978 is when you people were here, most of you. Who is sleeping on the job? Why are we not doing the kinds of transformative interventions that China is doing? Now, China is preaching free trade to America. I never believed it would happen in my lifetime. Let me repeat. Protectionist China, which practiced communism and was told by the West to adopt capitalism, is now preaching America capitalist discipline. Don't overprotect. Let's compete fairly. Let's trade. Friends, I'm coming to the conclusion. Implications for Uganda. The president says, and I quote, we need to draw a distinction between the real economy and the vulnerable economy. And the president lists here tourism as a vulnerable economy, luxurious economy. Those doing national planning, please don't put tourism under the essential, the primary. It would be a mistake. Not sports. No. It is spirituality that I disagree with. Because the president is saying spirituality is also, well, I'm a Christian, but I doubt that spirituality would fall under the priority sectors. Now, to deploy Musevenomics for national economic salvation, I am encouraging National Development Plan 4 architects to embark on the following. First is to strengthen the president's idea of a productive army. And I'm saying army. The modern 21st century army's job is not just to shoot and kill. Can we have a productive army engaged in value-added manufacturing to save money we spend on military hardware and software, but eventually to be embedded with the civilian economy? The problem we seem to be seeing with UPDF is that it seems to be drifting from the CCM model, the Chama cha Mapinduzi model, which was Jeshi la Wananchi, which was the idea. You know, the Tanzanian soldiers are interesting. Even when they suspect you have committed an offense, they say, naomba nipitie nguvuni. Naomba. They are requesting to arrest you. Now, the Ugandan soldiers are different. Nitakupiga wewe, nitakuchapa. Now, we seem to be drifting from the spirit of Uganda People's Defense Forces, which is like the Tanzanian People's Defense Forces, Jeshi la Wananchi. And now we are saying, fanya fujo uone. Nyinyi, fanya fujo uone. Now, that needs to be restrained so that we can have an army, productive army, which works for the nation, for the citizens, for the national economy, for our national interests. And I want to add quickly that we need to learn from the success story of Taiwan. We are having a conversation on industrial policy. I'm a student of industrial policy. We are having a conversation on industrial policy which says the president wants value addition and we are only celebrating it. The devil lies in the detail. The successful economies such as Taiwan, China, embarked on the following. Number one was industrial transformation premised on capital-intensive industries. So you concentrate the resources of the state in capital-intensive industries, not PDM. Come on, why are we joking? From Ubonaba Gagawale, Emyoga, we are giving tokenism to our citizens. You are the best and brightest in the land. Kindly shift from tokenism and create enterprises like Lira Spinning Mills, Nightil, regional enterprises, oil refinery. These don't have to be in every district. They don't have to be in every parish. I am uncomfortable with the parish development model because it is driven by tokenism. Come on, can we transform the economy in our lifetime? Yes, we can. Number two, you embark on high value added manufacturing, not agro-processing. Hello? Number three, you embark on stringent performance targets. Andrew Mwenda is a brilliant man, but he seems to have drifted astray. But in his submission, this is a point he raised, that we must have stringent performance targets. And so, yes, I see that Andrew Mwenda still has some good ideas. Number next, can we please appreciate that we must give priority to products that have chances of huge domestic markets? Not everything. Don't support everyone because your resources will be spread thin. Can we support sectors which have a huge, like textiles? You're all putting on textiles, aren't you? Scholastic materials, products that have potential for a large market. Can we, number next, emphasize products that have high income elasticity of demand, nationally, regionally, and globally? What does it mean? That as the economy grows, there are more buyers. But if you emphasize the supermarket economy, we are in trouble. And that's why we are having jobless growth. That's why the ratio of public finance to GDP has not gone beyond 15%. Yet you are graduates, brilliant people, monetary economists, the Ministry of Finance, the Central Bank, and elsewhere. Why are we not thinking through what we are doing? We also need to interrogate global value chains. Why? Global value chains have two faces, not one. I've heard some of you say, look, join the global value chains. My friends, global value chains have two faces, not one. The first phase is beneficial, and it is beneficial to high-tech manufacturers. The second phase is detrimental. If you join global value chains as a supplier of low-value added products, you become a slave of the global value chains. In other words, global value chains have the potential to be chains of poverty. Now, could I quickly go to the last one? The last one. This is what I propose for those planning NDP 4. Number one, smart infrastructure. there is absolutely no reason why we continue to depend on Chinese to build our roads. What are we doing with our graduates in civil engineering in our different universities all over the country and polytechnics? Number two, I've talked about the productive army, doing productive business. Number three, we need 21st century broad highways, standard gauge railway lines, not border borders. I beg. Let me speak Nigerian. I beg. Not border borders. Number next, we have to address Afande General Saleh's scarcity of arable land question by 2040 by promoting Israel-like smart agriculture. I have not had that conversation since yesterday. Smart agriculture means you're doing interventions in farming that are leveraging big data, e-sensors, artificial intelligence, and the Internet of Things. These are the spaces we must occupy. That means that you don't need every one of us doing farming. You're going to liberate a lot of us to work into factories and high technology sectors. We need a few people to feed us. But we need to do things the smart way. Smart agriculture is the direction. Israel has demonstrated that it works. Israel is a semi-desert. How can Israel outcompete us when we are the Garden of Eden, gifted by nature, but cursed by elites? Madam, thank you very much for the patience. Thank you very much. I appreciate all of you. In Swahili we say, shukrani zangu pokeeni, na dua njema na waombea.
Asante sana mwalimu. Tunakushukuru kabisa. I think it's beautiful, it's wonderful, it's intellectually stimulating to hear a different voice. I think so. I believe so. And civilized intellectual discourse demands that you have an open mind to listen to what you want to hear, the good one, but also listen to what you may not want to hear, because it's from listening to what you may not want to hear that you will improve on the good things that you've already done. For me, as a person from where I'm sitting, and I think a bulk of people on this side, including those from Operation Wealth Creation, we should appreciate the different voice, the different views, the different ideas. I would like to thank Professor Kiza for the ideas he was bringing in, saying, when you're considering NDP4, please do consider A, B, C, D. That is very positive. Jobless growth. I think some of these catchwords should not leave our minds, because that's why we have sat here for 2 days. We could be doing our peasant agriculture, but we decided to sit here. So the takeaway should not be only the positives, but as Ugandans, also the bad and the ugly are ours, and we have to embrace them. One thing I like and love about General Saleh is that he has an open mind and he will listen to the most contradictory and even controversial views. Actually, I was wishing, I don't know if he's still online listening, because you will tell him what you think, however bad it is. He will listen. He will not say shut up. He will not say you are wrong. He will not say you are kipinga. He will not say you are kipinga. But some of us, we are so intolerant to a dissenting voice, to a different point of view, that somebody is branded an enemy. So Kiza can easily be called an enemy of progress. And yet, he's pointing out the gaps and also giving us some possible solutions. The reason I thought I would hurry you through is because I wanted to give an opportunity, at least for 1 or 2 people, not to thank you, I've already thanked you, not to disagree because, I mean, we are not in court where one person will be right and another one will be wrong, and then there's a verdict and another one goes to prison or takes 10 years of capital punishment. No. We are exchanging views and absorbing them. If somebody has got a point where there was no clarity, I see one hand there, where there is no clarity and you need clarity, or where you totally do not agree with the view expressed by the presenter, but you have a different view, very candidly, put it across. Once again, I was told not to open this up, but I thought it would not be fair to you and to him. Kindly keep it as short as possible. KISS, right? Keep it short and simple. There's the first hand that I saw. Where is the microphone?
Is here, Honorable Chair. Can I suggest that we take just one lady and one gentleman, and those who have not yet spoken, Honorable, if you don't mind. You are the chair.
No, that's not fair.
Hello, thank you so much. My name is Arnold Ankunda.
Who is Arnold Ankunda? Who is he?
Behind time.
Who gave you the microphone? Okay, now that you have it, just 1 second, ask.
Yeah, my name is Arnold Ankunda, and my concern is about tourism. Tourism sector is a bit left behind. These are people, we are seeing our counterparts going in different countries, I think blagging their countries on these, big football teams, which call for investors. Maybe in a country like Uganda, we have a wide tourism sector, which I think if tourists come this side, we can at least get some investors who can maybe invest in different sectors, hence, uplifting our economy. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
Thank you, moderator. My name is Dr. Munumba Faus. I'm an economist. I work with the Office of the President. With all the presentations, I've not heard about the aggregate demand acceleration. We are talking about more of increasing supply, but no model is showing increase in consumerism or consumer behavior. So I would like to be guided. How do we uplift a peasant to consume when we acknowledge that the rate of interest is high, the cost of living is high, despite the fact that the interest rate is low? So we need a model that appreciates that whatever we get, this be it PDA, be it industrialization, stays in the pocket of the peasant, so that peasant is able to transform him or herself.
Thank you. There's a lady I saw on this side. Is that a lady? With your hand up. You are a man. I saw a lady somewhere. Well, the ladies will come up. Charles, there. There. I think, Doctor, some of these are not questions. You may not respond. But for me, I believe that the more ideas we get from the audience, the more enriching it will be, even for the organizers and the policy people, to pick the ideas. Yes, quickly.
Thank you so much, madam.
Okay.
My name is Ejak Joel. I am a student of senior monk, as he baptized as the junior monk. I am equally as junior monk of Professor
Kindly
Julius
go to
Kiza.
the point.
The point that I've got is that out of the discussions we have had, we have learned that so many of the youths of my age are evading this country to go and look for something to do outside. Why? Because they have graduated and the jobs here, the minimum wage of this country has not been updated from 1984. And as we can compare to our immediate neighbors, Kenya improved on their minimum wage last year, 2024, on 1st May, and it increased to 6%. So what I want us to have here, taken care of is the factor of the minimum wage, because people are okay to go and clean toilets abroad and they earn 1.5 million because they can't be in offices or any other job sector in Uganda.
The point is taken. Minimum wage. Afande Philip Idro and the one behind him. We said I'll give priority to people who have not spoken.
Yes, thank you very much, Chairperson. I need to talk a little bit about the PDM, which is one of the OWC and General Sales program, which was challenged here, and we appreciate the challenge.
The mic is...
We appreciate the challenge of the PDM. We are from General Sales office, so maybe it's wise we answer it. The issue of PDM is not yet well evaluated by most people. So it's understandable when they get it from the concept level. But evaluations have been done. And if I showed you pictures of how very many people have changed their lives all over the country, you'll be surprised. Of course, there's a cost to it. There have been people who have drunk the money. There have been people who have married wives with the money. There have been people who have done wrong things. But I think this is the cost of the country. Like when we said we needed to give the women 1+ at the beginning when NRM came.
1.5 points.
1.5.
To enter
but
the
now you look at the women. They have caught up. That's the cost society pays for abandoning people. So in this case of PDM, we did calculate for a 40% loss. It may not have been stated clearly, but we did calculate. And I think we have done much better than that 40% loss. Because a lot of the people down there needed just a little bit to change themselves. And if you notice now, the latest data has indicated that we have gone down from 38% to 18%. And this is because the poverty levels, if you understand them in the country, were 2. The very, very poor people, by the way, are school children, old people, and those who are sacked from jobs which are... So that category did not qualify for PDM, and that's the category lost. But PDM was for those who had a little bit of facility, who just did a little bit of prodding to make a change. That will take some time to explain, but that is really what happened. So I wanted to say that PDM, as far as we are concerned, has had its success and it's growing. In any case, that is the tax money they were paying, which was going to Idro to decide as a PS. So we said, you decide there as Mwalimu in the village. And it's your money you pay tax for. So if you lose it, so that's the justification. Now, you did talk also a little bit about jobless growth. I think if you teach the people the wrong syllabus, they can't get a job. And I think that's where the issue has been, and there's been a recent education review to see this, because the data is very clear. We have been having 480,000 people doing what they call cognitive education, graduating every year. But these people who are hands-on, what you call psychomotor, we graduate about 60,000 of them from 1,600 technical schools in the country, both private and government. All of them have jobs. So we just need to fine-tune and change that. So basically, what I'm trying to say here is that while you have explained some of these things, when you come to the application from the local situation, I think the other countries like Taiwan you are quoting, the situations don't apply. Because basically, even in their country like China and so on, the East Asia, there was a division between high-intensive industries and high capital-intensive industries and high labor-intensive industries. In China itself, Shanghai is high capital-intensive, Guangzhou is high labor-intensive. And when you look at it, the country which the British brought out from nothing was high labor-intensive. And it changed over time. So you have to accept these realities so that we are very clear. For instance, I can tell you.
I hope you're not making a long presentation.
Last one. We have capacity to gin 1 million bales of cotton. But last year we ginned less than 100,000 bales of cotton. A lot of equipment, no raw material input. So if these things are not balanced, you just can't come and put in factories of high caliber without associating with supply lines and raw materials. So there's a lot more to consider. And that's why PDM is also considering that factor. Thank you very much.
Sorry, the issue of supply side constraints as an impediment to sustainable value addition and industrialization. I'm sure that it's been picked. We are concluding. Yes, Mzee. No, after him, yes, you'll be the last.
Thank you, Uganda Development Forum, for this very important national dialogue. I wish to lead the other one I haven't most. But it is really a very good semblance of it. I am speaking for National Planning Authority on behalf of the board and management. I really want to appreciate Uganda Development Forum for this high-level engagement, brainstorm at a time when we are launching in the next 2 weeks the NDP4. Wow. You've really done a very good job, and I want to inform you that we have decided as National Planning Authority, in the line with the presidential directive of the 10-fold growth strategy, and aware that 2040 was our vision, we are now going to do a long-term plan beyond the 5-year plan, so that by 2040 we are catching up. And I find this presentation very useful in terms of what we need as a country. Since NDP4 has been discussed many times at NPA, I want really to appreciate you for agreeing. We now have a planning framework. We started from the stabilization, the recovery. That was, coming from a crisis. But we have since become realistic enough to go into this medium-term and long-term framework. And I want to thank PDM Secretariat, my honorable colleague Garabuzi, when he gave us an example of Western Europe post-World War depression. They used the Marshall Plan. It was a big push. The concentration camps were turned into what we are now calling cities. It was intentional, it was big push, and it was big resources which were voted for that. And it's possible, some of us proposed it in the northern Uganda and the south, but people were very sentimental. They just wanted to remain with customary life. Right now, northern Uganda will be the best investment decision if we are chosen to have a big leap, borrowing from the big push model. And Dr. Prof, it is good to have the big push. Yesterday somebody made the case for nucleus model, the Kachira, the Lugazi model, the Kalangala model, where you have outgrowers working with nucleus, and where you have everything perfect with all the pillars you would want, rather, right from the agro inputs, the nucleus inputs, the machinery, markets, but there is this group which government is intentional to target, the ones which are outside the money economy. So I don't think we can dismiss the PDM completely. What we need to talk about, how do we make sure the other 6 pillars are simultaneously being implemented.
Thank you so much.
We can also not speak against the externalization of labor. Our neighbors in Rwanda, we talk about indigenous companies and banks in Ethiopia because of diaspora remittances. What we should be condemning is sending house girls. We should be sending engineers. We should be using what the Philippines do, send technicians, so that it's not only it's actually a brain gain. It's a brain gain if they go out there and acquire more technology, get more exposure, and they come back with remittances.
Thank you very much.
I just want to end as NPA by proposing to UDF the possible topics which I think could be for the next presentation. Yesterday, I raised the issue of energy, and today Andrew Mwenda helped me to push further.
Can you list them?
Yes.
Energy.
One of them is
Energy.
the energy.
One.
It is not
Number
true,
two.
It is not true that we have too much power. The power we have is not sufficient if all the industrial parts, the iron and steel are done. That's one. What we need is that when we generate, can we also have the simultaneous plan to distribute it and it's used. The other topic I think we should discuss without missing words is the debt stress. Because a big percent of our budget is debt servicing.
Number
we must
three,
be realistic to discuss the issue.
You don't have to talk to each and every point, sir, because people here do understand.
So on behalf of NPA, we are willing to take a lot of these presentations, and we have topics we think we can discuss in the next development forum. I appreciate it.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much.
You are the right person. Charles, do me a favor and allow this Mzee to say something, and then that will be it.
Mama, bakesha banange.
Sebo.
Zinda kwogera mu Uganda.
Tetina mutawana.
Kubanga omuzungu salusoma.
It's okay.
Abakadde
He's going to speak in Uganda.
Ensonga ezineese mu maaso g'abakulu abaami n'abakyala ziri ensonga ssatu. Ensonga esooka okusaba okutegeeza pulezidenti wa Zimbabwe Museveni okuzzawo banka y'abalimi cooperative bank ne commercial bank. Kubanga abalimi oba abaddugavu nga tebalina banka zaabwe baba sibakozi. Ekyokubiri nkusaba okutegeeza ekyasula banka n'abantu ba Uganda kyali ekintu bwekiti. Nze ndi mususuzi w'amaanyi ng'omu ku badirekita ba Cooperative Board. Ebyo 530 byonna byagwa lwa nsonga eyo emu gye ngenda okwogerako. Siyali gavumenti babula gaali amagezi g'abannaffe abazungu. Bwe twatuuka tugenda okwesabira okutwala emaanyi mu katale k'e Bulaaya, pulezidenti n'atukkiriza. Kaakati mwenaffe omwe twamugamba abazungu be yali akuze mmalira buli bamutuukirira. Ne bamugamba nti naffe twagala okutuukira ku balimi tugule wansi mu katale k'ensi yonna. Tugule emaanyi ku balimi. Byabakkiriza nga tumaze okugya sente mu mabanka.
Kati Mzee totutwala mu story kubanga bali mu kungamba.
Ensonga y'abaddugavu tetwatuleese
kankuwabule nze chair kankuwabulemu. Wano wetutudde ebyo byoyogerako biyinza obutayambibwa wano, naye tulina foramu endala. Mr. Ivan Asimu oyo mmanyi, omukulu Ivan Asimu
omuganyi wakwogera Luganda
wandi
omuganyi wakwogera Luganda omukadde
ngambye omukulu Ivan Asimu oyo
abazi wano ku nsonga y'abaddugavu n'enkulaakulana y'abaddugavu bwanjikiriza okugamba ogambe nti kwatwogera ebizungu
nedda
owasobola oli mukadde tujja kutegera byogera niye obanga otegedde nga ndi munnaluganda era nga ndimu ebiwabiri wano ekyafuula ebyuma byaffe ebyemwanyi 53 twali kukkiriza abazungu tujja kutwala mwanyi kuzitwala ne batujjako indasitule ezaffe ez'abaddugavu ne batusuula nga sente tumaze okuzija mu banka tulaba kugerebalinga kutwala mwanyi bweru ne batusuula nga bamaze okukkiriza okuddamu okugula emwanyi buli kiro ly'emwanyi nga gisala siringi 8 nga sente zijja mu Cooperative banka Commercial banka ne banka endala. Buli alina kiro omutwalo gwa kibooko yafiire miliyoni 8 kyekyafuna indasitule zaffe ez'abaddugavu. Ge muba maze okuzimba abaddugavu twagala muzeewo indasitule z'abaddugavu ez'emwanyi zitufaanana ng'ate abikula nkusanyi musale abikulira. Twagala muzeewo indasitule zaffe ez'abalatu ababasi ez'emwanyi indasitule z'emwanyi ezaabo omuliro onyakola ekwetirana gusoga yuniyoni bigiso n'endala nnyingi n'ebyo 53 n'ekirala ekisembano. Njagala musaba pulezidenti Museveni ne gavumenti yaffe omulungi omwagala atuzzeewo Cooperative Board tufunemu ebintu bibiri. Ekisooka naye kimuyamba buli muntu asunsulira gyansunsulidde emisolo gya gavumenti bagibba. Ekyokubiri twagala okuba nti tutegeeza nti n'abateera emwanyi bulumi bw'akatale k'emwanyi bonna babeere mu kifo kimu kufuna king bone nafuga lwenga baduga kuba ila sura yako je ndio tunafanya maendeleo za miaka 5 twagala kukula abantu tunyega sura yako ezikufana abaduga mu Uganda ezabalimi abemwanyi era zo zimogera po ezabazungu zikola byuma zikola sabuni akamulisi gafu mutuzi mbabira akufana beba nyinyo.
So, that was the last intervention on this session. Professor, I don't know if you want to say something because I'm really under pressure, but allow me, ladies and gentlemen, to recognize the presence of the British High Commissioner, Her Excellency Elisa Chesney. Thank you so much for coming. We're very happy to have you. Half a minute. Because most of these were actually not questions, they were additions. I think there was one question, there were comments. Thank you very much. After him, I will not come back to thank you. No, I'll come back so that you can thank me. I'll come back.
Thank you very much, Chair. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I understand that this is dialogue, so it needs we have a conversation. And in that spirit, munzikirize ntandike ne omuntu omukulu asembyeyo. Abalala ne bene basibazeemu at least omukulu. Mukulu, ekya cooperative bank abangi tukyogeddeko naye nze ndowooza ab'obuvunaanyizibwa batandise okukikolako leero okusinga luli naye nga singa tulaga kanibisho ani akola ku nsonga ya cooperative bank omukulu oyo please give him audience. Sebo muganda wange omukulu oyo agenda kwogera naawe ku kintu kya cooperative fenna twaganyirwa mu cooperative. So nolwekyo ekyo tulina okukiteekamu amaanyi n'abanoonya obululu bakimanye nti ekintu ky'abantu. Amawulire amalungi gennina kiri nti cooperative ezimu zitandise okuddawo. General Sale yantuma menya nkole kweteerana netubeizinga issues nga bannange muzeewo ebintu byange UNDP yampasente kuwandika ku cooperative nempandiika. General Sale yansindikira report nga simanyi nti yagifuna yaginsindikira nga agamba n'abalala batambulire ku report eyo. So cooperative ndowooza government etandise okugizaamu amaanyi ngamba ziri ezedda si circles. Bannange now you elite circles make us move in circles not to transform. Now my friend Afande, the PDM, I'm going to request an appointment. I did a study on the PDM for the World Bank recently with a team of 5 experts, and we have our studies. But permit me to share one quick point. PDM falls in the tradition of small steps improvements, not big steps transformation. The president under Musevenomics is saying we need structural, socioeconomic transformation. Yes, you'll get there through PDM, but through baby steps, one baby step at a time. Do you want drastic improvements in your lifetime? Why don't we behave like China? In your lifetime, you say, I want to see this. Honorable Minister, former Minister of Finance, wouldn't you be happy to see changes happening in your lifetime? Chetwagala, we are not saying PDM is wrong. We are only saying we need interventions that will lead to structural transformation. And I'm putting it before you. Instead of scattering 1 million every punch, please concentrate that money in growth enterprises, big farms, selected priorities like textiles, which employ all of us, and grow value chains. So I am not saying you are wrong, I'm only saying you can be right. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
I think some professors are stubborn. Let's just accept that Kiza is one of them and give him a big round of applause. And to prove that he's stubborn, he said he thinks I'm pregnant and I wanted to go and have a baby.
It is possible, madam.
I'm over 60, but anyway, It's good to mix laughter with serious work. Philip Idro Afande, he was talking so much about China, I forgot to mention to the audience that he was our ambassador to China, so he knows what he's talking about. I see Afande Daud, you were saying we close. There are some people I fear to say no to. I thought you were saying give me 1 second. Okay, this brings us to the end of this session. Now you can clap for me. You can also clap for me. Thank you very much.
I think, ladies and gentlemen, we will all agree that this afternoon we have only had stubborn people, including the chair herself. Because it is only stubborn chairpersons.
I am not stubborn, I was amplifying the voice of peasants.
And stimulating the mind. It is only stubborn chairpersons who ask to be clapped for. I thought that is my work to ask the audience to clap for you, Honorable Kiraso. Indeed, you deserve a clap. You really deserve a clap, and a big one. Thank you all, and thanks for the enlightening afternoon that we have had. Her Excellency, the British High Commissioner to Uganda, Lisa Chesney, and your colleague, thank you very much for joining this dialogue. Thank you so much. Two quick announcements. One is that as we are talking about knowledge stimulation, there are some two important literature books at the back. One is titled Grace Unlimited and written by Dr. Patrick Bitonda Birungi, the ED of UDC, that has been a major supporter of this dialogue. Birungi is there. If you want to see him, you stand up, doctor. You shouldn't shy away. If you want to get his book, you will see that face on the book. It is at the back. Very enlightening book. I read it in 3 days. When he sold it to me, he gave me actually a free copy, a gift to read. And it was very, very exciting. A story of persistence, despair, hardships, and triumph. Very good book on economic development and many other things. The second one is titled Transformative Economics, Understanding the Pathway to Economic Transformation, by our Deputy Governor, Professor Augustus Nwagaba. So it's also at the back. Kindly buy those books. We are going to have the final panel right now. And I am usually very transparent when managing a function. We thought it wise that since we were left with only one panel and then the wrap-up summary by Dr. Patrick, that we should just finish them so that we break for lunch and whatever we can do, networking, but after we have exhausted the discussions, because we had late tea. But now, as I invite, we are going to have a discussion on inclusive development in 30 minutes. And the presentation, leftover presentation by Honorable Dennis will form part of that panel. Allow me invite the chair, Edward Katende, who is our Executive Director of Uganda Development Forum that has brought all of us here. As he comes, I want to request all of us to stand up. Let's stand up, all of us. Stand wherever you are, don't move. Just stand up as Katende comes here. Just, you know, stretch yourself a bit. Just, you know, stretch yourself, and you can do that. Turn a bit. Do it once more. I can see people who were poor students in class, they are not doing anything. And then when you get blood clot, you will complain. Aha. You can now resume your seats. Thank you very much. Let us put our hands together and welcome Katende. Mr. Katende, you are standing in the way of our lunch and break, so kindly do the needful. Invite your panelists, including Honorable Dr. Dennis. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Charles. My panel is basically about inclusivity, which is one of the principles of Musevenomics. I think when the professor presented, he did not consider all the principles and what problem each of these principles is trying to solve. When you talk about infrastructure, Musevenomics has that as one of his principles. And the president is the biggest promoter of SGR as we speak today. He's also a promoter, he talks about inclusivity. Inclusivity is not tokenism. But what Museveni demonstrates to us is that extremely poor people, while you are working on those big things, the industries and what have you, the extremely poor people can improve their livelihood by earning much more, by focusing on high value, labor intensive agricultural enterprises, those who are into agriculture. He talks about intensive farming. If I am farming on 1 acre, as Uganda works on industrialization, the people of Kagerekamu Parish, where I do my farming, how are they getting out of poverty? They are still farming there. So they focus on high-value agricultural enterprises. And today, we have a documentary which we want to play about this particular concept. We went to Kisoro and looked at a community under the parish development model, which focused on a high-value agricultural enterprise. And that enterprise is onions. So the documentary will speak for itself. So before I invite my panel, I wanted us to look at that documentary. But I also want to say that export of labor, like you say, is one of the distortions in the factors of production called labor. Professor, you give us graduates that cannot find jobs in Uganda. Yes? And is that our problem? Is that a problem of academia? Is that the problem of Museveni? As we fix the short-term problems of getting them jobs, we also need to look at the education system itself. If these kids can create jobs for themselves here in the country, there is no need to become labor as slaves in other countries. And then spirituality, Prof, is not a sector for Musevenomics. Spirituality is a basic human need. He has 9 basic human needs, and spirituality is one of them. Whether you believe in the God of Israel, or you believe in Mukasa of Uganda, or you don't have any, this is your spirituality. Mukasa has Rigali, the God of Israel has tithes. What Musevenomics says, every household must have a decent income that enables it to afford the basics of life. And that's where he mentions the 9 basic human needs, including spirituality. If you earn anything and you are a born-again Christian, you go to Sunday service, your pastor will ask you to give a tithe. And if you don't give a tithe, some of the preachers will tell you it is a sin to come to the house of the Lord empty-handed. So you can see the importance. So if our documentary for Kisoro is ready. Please play it here, and then I will invite my panel to expand on what we are discussing.
Breathtaking beauty and hard-working communities.
Some sound, please.
In the shadows of the Virunga Mountains, a quiet revolution is taking place. The people of Kisoro are transforming their lives through a single crop, onion. For many years, farmers here have toiled to make ends meet, grappling with limited resources to grow their enterprises. But today, a new dawn is breaking, thanks to the government's Parish Development Model, PDM, a grassroots wealth creation initiative designed to transform subsistence households into the money economy.
The strategy has always been about household income generation for socio-economic transformation, but more so to have the parish as an epicenter for service delivery. And His Excellency noticed that it is about getting directly in contact with the Mwananchi. But right now PDM is dealing with wealth creation and job creation. We are going into agriculture, give cheap credit to the beneficiaries, to the populace, and organizing them very well into cooperatives.
With the right vision, the household is now given an opportunity to select an enterprise that maximizes the available factors of production for that household. For example, land, entrepreneurship, and markets. Then, after the enterprise selection, they are given access to affordable capital. And with affordable capital, that's not enough. You are helping the household to now invest that capital wisely. Issues of agriculture, advisory services, agriculture extension are key. Under the PDM arrangement, the commitment and hard work of the households is paramount. But of course, lastly is the connection to the markets. With higher yields come higher incomes. With higher incomes, transformation becomes inevitable.
The parish development model is creating waves of transformation across Kisoro district, positioning it as one of the best performing districts in the entire country. The program has ignited a powerful shift in mindset from subsistence to commercial production, as residents embrace farming and animal rearing with a clear business focus. Across villages and parishes, individuals are turning their lives around through purposeful investments supported by the PDM.
Onions have been the best performers in that the net profit actually goes beyond 95%, and you will find that the entire area of Muramba and Nyarusiza, as well as Kanava, people are transforming their lives. Their lives have been transformed as well, in that permanent houses have been constructed, children are going to private schools, as opposed to the past where people were depending only on public schools.
Onion farming has long been a key enterprise in Kisoro, but access to capital has often been a hurdle. Under PDM, each beneficiary receives 1 million Uganda shillings at an affordable interest rate of just 6% per year, repayable over 3 years. Before receiving these funds, beneficiaries of the PDM are taken through a rigorous vetting process, conducted from within their respective community groups. Only those who meet the criteria and demonstrate genuine commitment to development are selected. The data of successful candidates is then carefully captured into a digital platform known as the Parish Development Management Information System, PDMIS, ensuring transparency, accountability, and proper tracking of progress.
We have been using the PDMIS, all the processes, from household registration up to disbursement, including loan processing, we have never done anything outside the system. We are digitizing everything from A up to Z. And with supervision from the leadership, both political and technical, as well as the sub-county teams, we are able to monitor the performance of these enterprises and technically backstop everyone so that they benefit from this approach of PDM.
In Kisoro, we started disbursing money in the financial year 2023, and so far we've disbursed more than 16.6 billion. And these ones have gone in the 55 circles, and we also have beneficiary households. We have so far around 14,600 households. All of them have received this other money.
Once a street vendor, Gad Neretse is now a happy and prosperous PDM beneficiary. Gad, like many others, was severely impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic's economic difficulties. His hawking business collapsed as a result of lockdowns and movement restrictions, which made it more difficult to make a living.
mvuye kure ko nakoze imirimo myinshi yo gushakisha, ariko mu bushakashatsi bwo nakoraga nari umutemberi nitoreye Uganda, Kampala, Masaka, Jinja, Moroto, Kotido ndetse na Zaguru hose, ariko ntinagira icyo mbonayo.
Inspired by the pandemic's setbacks and the prospect of a more secure future, Gad made a bold decision to return to his native Kisoro to embrace agriculture.
Konegeza hano mu cyaro mbona umushinga wo president wacu yari yohereje mu muno witwa PDM, yumvise ko bari kwigisha, yumva binyuze, nanje ndasaba ngo kuri zo shiringi zo president ari gutanga nanje mboneho baranyemerera kuri zo shiringi mbonaho shiringi miliyoni imwe.
He used this capital to establish a 1-acre onion garden. His dedication and hard work soon paid off. In his very first season, Gad harvested a bumper crop that earned him an astonishing 16,840,000 shillings, a life-changing amount he had never imagined making.
Izo shiringi ko namagiye kuzibona mbona nshomeshaho abana banje bo batari bari kujya ku ishuri, tandika ubuzima busha, ngo kubona miliyoni 16 nagize ubuzima busha butandukanye n'ubwo nari mfite. Abana batangira kujya mu kushuri, ndimo kureba iyi nzu ndetse ndavuga ngo ko mbonye izi shiringi kangure n'inka ziranzana ifumbire ninongera guhinga noneho nzabone nyinshi gusumba izo nari mbonye. Ubwo aho nziboneye imyaka 2 irashize, ariko mbona gushaka kuri izo myaka 2 ubu n'ubundi butunguru ubwo nari mbinzemo ngo nongeye guhinga, nongeye kongera kuguramo amabati kugira ngo nsakaze, ndongera nguraho n'ubu umuntu wabona kureba.
Charles Gihungu is yet another shining example of how the parish development model is transforming lives. As a beneficiary of the program, Charles decided to invest his funds in onion farming, a decision that is steadily changing his life for the better.
Sente za PDM zarangoreye cyane, twarazifashe turangije kuzifata ziguramo ibirayi bireberera urugo rwanje, uraho n'ubutunguru ndatera, abana babona uko baja ku ishuri, ni nziza cyane, nta n'uwagica yazivugaho. Na n'ubu munsi kuba abana banje bari ku ishuri, nizo sente zo nabonye za PDM. Akandi kantu ko nshobora kwikorera mu rugo, nje ndahingaga n'uwamba akandi gasende nakubaka nk'inzu igaragara yaba kugira ngo abana baje baramenya bati data yabonye izi sente zidukurukuranya kuri iki kintu, kuko ngubundi mu nzu y'ibiti nta kapamanende mfite.
Behind these individual triumphs is a dedicated support system that comprises extension workers and community-based facilitators. These professionals have played a crucial role in Kisoro's PDM journey. Practical training centers, which adopt the farmer field school concept, provide hands-on guidance to beneficiaries before funds are disbursed. They ensure that recipients have the knowledge and skills to succeed, and most importantly, They provide continuous support and mentorship even after the money is received.
That is where we are emphasizing that before you get this money, you should know where to put it. With a business mindset, you make money and you transform from the subsistence status to the commercial status. You enter the money economy.
Buri mwaka batwohereza miliyoni 100 kandi izi shilingi kugira ngo tuzigabire abaturage, ibina bimanza byicara bakitoranyamo abakwiriye gufata barebeye uko bashobora kuba bafite ubushobozi ndetse barebeye ubukene bwo barimo.
To further leverage the spirit of togetherness and collective growth, farmers are organized in their enterprise groups and a multi-purpose cooperative called PDM SACCO. The PDM SACCO runs an aggregation center in the parish. Here, farmers bulk their individual harvests, allowing them to access various markets across Uganda and neighboring countries with one voice. This approach improves bargaining power and ensures consistency in supply, better pricing, and shared knowledge among farmers. And given the labor-intensive nature of onion farming, a myriad of jobs are created along the value chain, most especially for women and the youth.
That 100 million is a seed that is put into the parish economy. Within the parish economy, there are people who are dealing in agro inputs, like they sell seed, they sell or produce and sell manure, and thirdly, of course, the entire value chain, which is now being organized from the farm to the aggregation centers where big trucks come to pick the produce and distribute it to markets far away. The trick is money should not leave the parish. The money should stay and create opportunities within the parish.
Indeed, with a clear household vision, correct enterprise selection, proper technical guidance, linkage to markets, and sheer determination, onion farmers are rewriting their future through the power of inclusive financial systems. This is PDM, a true seed transformation at the grassroots.
Thank you very much.
Kisoro is a
present a full picture of what PDM is about, because very often it is misunderstood as the 100 million that is sent to a parish. But that 100 million comes with a lot of support that is starting to change lives. So we wanted to share this with you. And there are a couple of stories like this which our president has been showing everywhere he goes. So I want to invite my panelists to join me. Dr. Ngabo from Kisoro, who will come and expound on what is happening so that anybody who has any specific question can ask him. You don't have to believe take our word for it. He's there. I want to invite Raymond from the Presidential Hubs. I know the Prof touched his space as well in the presentation. So I want him to come and respond. Honorable, you will come last once these people have spoken, because we're a big drum. And then you conclude when we leave. So I think I will start with Dr. Ngabo to complete the Kisoro story. And then we'll go to the Presidential Industrial Hubs to see how these are being used as case studies for the Musevenomics principle on inclusivity. Dr. Ngabo, over to you.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to have this opportunity to speak to us. Mine is very brief because this documentary shows everything. If you don't believe, you come to Kisoro and see. you come and see. I have always had issues with the theory because there is a way it is widely different from practical. You cannot run before you crawl as a baby. So much as PDM is helping our farmers take small steps in transformation, it doesn't mean it is a bad approach. It is working. Now, I had a short presentation. I don't know whether it can be projected here, but for me, I'm saying what I have been seeing, what I experienced, what I saw, and what is happening right now. You have seen the houses that we are having there. In the 90s, the entire Kisoro district was almost having grass-thatched houses. Now you have seen, you can't trace a single house which is grass-thatched. What do you call that? I am a product of UPE. I'm also a product of government sponsorship, the National Merit at Makerere University. I'm a veterinary surgeon. What do you call that? We used to hear that Kisoro experienced a very devastating famine called Rupesi, and Musei Mateche, the hero for Kisoro district, is known for saving our people from death because he gave them maize. You cannot hear famine in Kisoro today. We just experience a short spell of food shortage in the month of October when most of the seed is planted. Then after that, we are good to go. Famine is off. What do you call that? Operation Wealth Creation supplied 494 heifers to Kisoro district. Now, when we made the census last year, those animals have multiplied to over 1,300. Those are the animals that are giving us manure that we are using in onion and potato production. What do you call that? Those are practical things I'm talking about. Because now if you look at everything as a general picture and you don't concentrate at the specifics, you miss the point. You are telling me what to do, but you're not telling me how to do it. Tell me how to do it. If you think you have what is better than what I'm doing, I will appreciate it. It is unfortunate that the projector is not showing what we have here, but the houses in Kisoro are very good. You should come and see. As opposed to the past, where we had only one person calling herself a midwife when she was not, and one gynecologist. Now we have very many doctors. Each sub-county has a health center 3. We have 4 health center 4s with surgeons. We have private, not-for-profit hospitals, 2 of them, Motolera and Clay and Senga. EMTCT services, antenatal services, immunization services are there free of charge, covering whoever goes to the health unit. What do you call that? Of course, we are having a number of challenges, which is normal, and I'm glad that in this conference, I have seen very many professors talking to us. I've given a few recommendations in the layman's language. I'm hoping that you will help us improve them so that we get practical solutions. Where you can say solution, undertake action research that will help us. Not the research to put in the shelves. Please, we need immediate solutions. Now, we have a problem of price fluctuation. When these farmers harvest at the same time in large volumes, the prices fall. Our farmers don't have stores where they can keep these onions for some time as they wait for the price to improve. We were proposing that if we could have standard stores for onions at these collection centers, this can solve the problem. Two, there has been deliberate exploitation of our potato farmers by middlemen and transporters. We are proposing having a physical market, maybe in the city. We call it like a PDM market, where the farmer can interact directly with the buyer, a farmer or a farmer representative. They interact and negotiate. We are also proposing an e-marketplace where the producer can negotiate with the buyer over the internet. They make the deal, the buyer delivers, or the farmer delivers, or the buyer goes to pick, but not having very many middlemen that will exploit our farmers. Now, inorganic manures are very expensive, I'm concluding, and because we have young volcanic soils, these inorganic fertilizers are now causing a reduction in production instead of improving it. Therefore, we want to continue enhancing the utilization of organic manure. And in that sense, as a practical solution, if there is a way each household in the district can have a cow, not for milk, but for manure purposes, that is a practical solution to that problem. And lastly, we have made tremendous, serious losses because of floods, hailstorms, and some dry spells sometimes. And that is why we propose that agricultural insurance be implemented as soon as possible. I thank you.
That's the story from Chisoro on the Parish Development Board. We should now look at the other components within this space of inclusive growth. And I will invite a colleague from the Presidential Industrial Hubs to share with us their story, and then we can have a conversation.
Thank you, Ndogo Katende. Engineer Raymond Kamsha, the Director for Presidential Projects and Industrial Hubs at State House. We do several things, but today I'm talking about industrial hubs, which is the initiative of the President as a mitigation measure, as I will explain. I've given you some, I think, video to play. Okay, but I can explain as it comes. One, I would like to thank the organizers of this forum, that is the Uganda Development Forum. I would like to thank Operation Wealth Creation, PDM, and all the partners and stakeholders, UDC, for making this happen. Interventions like this help us sometimes share ideas, but also some people, it's an avenue of venting out some challenges that we carry, like we have seen. So I'm glad to be part of this, and I will take just a few minutes to explain to you what happens at industrial hubs. One, I listened very carefully to PSST as he was talking about, and our senior Honorable Victoria Sechtoreko put it properly, that he talked about 3 challenges and didn't talk about the last 2. So I was equally intrigued, because one of the biggest challenges in this country is unemployment. Unemployment is categorized in very many ways. There are those who have skills and don't have the jobs. Like we have seen that some people, one of the presenters here said that 67 of our graduates don't have jobs, meaning they are trained, but they don't have jobs. But we also have those who are not trained. I will borrow. Good enough, I've seen Honorable here representing the National Planning Authority. In the last forum, we had 4.2 million youth or Ugandans in Uganda belong to a group called NEETs. NEETs, these are people who are neither in education, employment, or any training. Can you imagine? 4.2 million people. If they put them around here, you do. How many people do we have in Kampala? Around 4 million. Imagine the whole population of this town here, with all the people that move in this metropolitan area, without any job, or they are not under any training, or nothing. They are there. Now the question is, where are they? So the statisticians will tell us, the researchers, they will tell us where those people are. Maybe they are in a certain Muzigo, cooking in some bit of a marriage or something, but they are there. So the need is very, very big. I've seen all the good interventions we have talked about here. We are not talking about those people. We are planning for just a few people, save for PDM maybe, but these other good interventions are talking about maybe 30%. You people have gone to school, but I can tell you the need is very big. And to make it more practical, I will ask you to be kind enough, each of us here, how many dependents do we have in our homes? How many? Are there very many? Very many. You have people who depend on you, and the number is very big. So, you have a maid, you have a cousin, you have some. What is the end game for them? Will they depend on you all their lives? Don't they have a future? So, the need is very, very serious. So, it is good that as we talk about Musevenomics, we talk about those people. Because if you don't talk about them, it is just a waste of time. But good enough, the President has looked through and brought also some interventions to cater for those people. Although the intervention is not that, because now at industrial hubs and Kampala skilling, these initiatives of the President, we can only take on 20,000 per annum. 20,000. We are planning to expand to make 100,000 per year. So if you get 4 million or less people, you divide by 100,000, we need how many years to solve the problem? Close to how many years? Those who do mathematics. We need very many years to solve the urgent problem there. Assuming they are not producing given. But we know Ugandans are fertile and they produce. So the problem is serious. So what are we doing, or what is the President doing in these initiatives? We have 19 zonal industrial hubs that are across this country. I know them offhand. Every region of this country has an industrial hub. Go to Acholi, there's one in Gulu. Go to Madi, there's one in Ajumani, in Pekere village. Go to West Nile in Zeu, there's one. Go to, that serves West Nile. Go to Lango, there's one near Lira University that serves the Langis. Then we have another one in Karamoja in Napak that serves Karamoja region. There's one in Soroti near Teju Fruit Factory that serves Teso. We have another one in Sebei in Chepsunya that serves Sebei region. In Bugisu, it is located in Imbale, that is in Honge village. The one for Bukedi is in Chibuku, in Tirinyi town there. The one for Busoga, it is in Nakawango, here on Kamuli Road. The one for Greater Masaka, I saw Dr. Gerard Senda were looking at me. It is in Chimhanyi, near the district headquarters. There is an industrial hub, one there. The one for Greater Mbede is in Chibuye, in Mubede there. The one for that serves Mengo zone, it is in Kayunga, in a village called Gangama. The one for Greater Ankore, it is in Rubaya. The one for Chigezi, it is in a place called, it is on Katuna Road, Kamgams village. Professor Augustus, the Deputy Governor, is a beneficiary. At least his people of Chigezi have been served there, so he knows the place. So if you go to Kasese, they have one in Mubuku. If you go to Ntoroko, there's one near the district headquarters that serves Poto City. Then Bundiwijo and then Ntoroko. Then we have one for Toro, it's in Chijuiga. So the one for Bunyoro is in Masindi. So I know that the one for Makerere. I'm going to come to that. Yes, this is a don from Makerere. So we have in Central, we have those three, but we have 9 skilling centers within Kampala. Metropolitan here. So we have the 9 skilling centers in Kampala. We have one in Ruzira. We have one in Ruzira. We have one in Mulago, Sabwe, there's another one, Wandega, there's another one, Mutundu, there's another one, Chigoa, there's another one, Wandega, there's another one, Nakulabe, there's another one, and Makerere Chikoni, there's one. Makerere Chikoni, there's one. Try to find out, there is one. So, those are the 9 skilling centers around. What do? We teach people the basic skills within a period of 6 months that can be able to be productive. Our qualification, you don't need to have gone to school to join us. Because if we insist on qualifications, then we are relegating the people who are late on these academics out of the equation. And they're still there, very unproductive. You'll not have solved anything. Even if you bring back your curriculums, even if you bring what, those people are there existing, growing. How do they get productive? Those are the people they are talking about who are going for these jobs in Middle East and what have you. And I want to correct the former presenter. It is not bad to export labor. But what kind of labor are you exporting? That's the challenge. Because Philippines, as a nation, they get $12.5 billion annually from labor export. They export around 130,000 Filipinos out of their population. I think 1 million. They export 1.3 million who work abroad. And they earn $12.8 million. Egypt, also in Africa, they exports a high labor. But they earn a lot of money from foreign exchange. But the challenge here is that we export unskilled labor. So, if we can skill these people and they go and earn us good money, good. It's a very good intervention. So, but industrial hubs are here. If we work together, we can, if Parliament maybe add some money in it, we can have an industrial hub in every constituency. We can skill these people. They go and do something. So go as a chef, go as a barista. It takes just 2 weeks to learn to brew coffee. Can you imagine? And you earn good money. But people go when they are unskilled, and that's the kind of disorganization we have. Now, so we have those so many skilling centers, 19 zonal industrial hubs, and 9 skilling centers here, which makes it 28. Now, what do we do in those skilling centers? 1, we skill the skilling, which I've told you the 7. We now skill in 7 trades. That is, we do tailoring, because even the professor, he has a tailored shirt, either maybe from Thailand, but we can tailor it here. Professor, and then a Ugandan will earn money from our cotton here, and then, so tailoring is good. Only that we need to tailor from materials that are made here, okay? So, we tailor, we do tailoring and design, we do carpentry and joinery, we do welding and metal fabrication, and your children have added the spice. Now they make even these halas, handmade halas and what have you, those initiatives. They do some simple irrigation using the welding skills they have gotten. Then also we do hairdressing. Everyone wants to be neat here, so we teach people how to do that. But we also add a value by teaching them to get high standard using local materials, avocado, oils and what have you, to make these shampoos and what have you that we need. Then also we are teaching them leather practices. There's a factory in Kaumu here that we operate. We get leather and we get hides and skins and make leather. Then from that leather we make shoes, footballs, what have you, all those belts. They are being made at those. We train people how to make them at industrial hubs. Also, I'm told 1 minute, but I'll conclude in a few minutes. Also, we teach people bakery and confectionery. We want to have some good pastries, so we teach your children how to do them. Then also building and concrete practices. We are now adding the plumbing, adding electrical, adding the automobile mechanics. All those people, we don't take any qualification. We teach in the local language. That's why they are regionalized. If you're from Acholi, they teach you in Acholi. So, not knowing English or whatever, it doesn't stop you from making this nice table here. So, that's the approach we are using. We don't charge money. It is a fully sponsored program by the government of Uganda through State House, the president. So, your kids come and they learn and they go back. When they go back, we have been having a challenge of startup capital. So we formed circles, 176 circles, 71, from all administrative units of this country. There is a circle, industrial hub circle, and starting the next financial year, there will be capital for those people to start on something, borrow something, and then you're able to start on the initiative they have learned. Then also, that is to do with the skilling. We also have value addition under industrial hubs. We have silos. We have constructed silos in Mbende, also in Masindi, as storage for those the maize that sometimes is in surplus. Then other areas, we are trying to work with some people in Chigezi on some type of seed of Irish, and we can make some of these things here, like crisps. Imagine, they say our Irish can't make crisps, that it has so many dots. So we are trying to see how they can do it, work with farmers, and we're able to do that. So we are trying to, that is in the area of value addition. Then we also have in Mbarara, this banana fiber, what they call Evirere. We're making paper bags out of them in Mbarara there. Also, under industrial hubs, we have common user facilities. The president saw that some people don't have access to machinery, so in all those centers, We have a common user facility where machinery are there. You can go there and be able to do your work at a small service fee. Then also we have 4-acre model. Uganda is an agricultural country, but we are not often trained enough on the best agricultural practices. So we teach about 4-acre model, we teach about urban farming. If you're renting, you can do something as you rent, you get a sack, do something, make some vegetables, and you can be able to sell them and earn some money. So we have so far trained close to 46,000 Ugandans. More are in the Kampala Skilling Here program that has taken some time, like 7 years. But industrial hubs, now we have skilled so far 17,000 and so Ugandans who have gotten these skills. Some of these people have left, and because DIT, which was assessing them, was giving them an equivalent. For example, engineering brigade, they took, UPDF engineering brigade, they took over 400 former trainees of industrial hubs and took them on using the qualification of an equivalent, and those people have finished training, they were passed out. Now they are in engineering brigade working as masons, as carpenters, as, you know. Uganda Police is also taking on some, as they took some of our tailors to join their garment factory. So these people need to be what? Absorbed. And I think I am calling, since I have a forum now to talk to you, this intervention alone, like I've said, the people, they get to 4 million. Those who are in need. Each of us who has something, we need to at least skill one person, do something. Church organizations, you need to start skilling people so that they can have some money also to give back. I've seen some people of God here. Yeah, you can do something, you can skill these people so that they can also have some money to bring back to the church. Those who are privileged, we can start upskilling centers and also so that we can absorb those people. Lastly, I'll share my story. I was traveling near police headquarters there in Naguru. A young man, my window was down, and the young man saw me not steady, so he came and picked my iPhone. He crossed the road and whispered at me, he's like, call me. Yeah, he said, call me. Then of course I had another phone, so I called. He saw me carrying 2 phones. So I called him and we had a conversation. He told me that you people who are privileged, I can see you in a Land Cruiser moving. For us, we are privileged, we are not able to make ends meet. So that's why we resort to picking your phones. We sell them cheaply. It's like, for example, I know your phone is very expensive, but I'm going to sell it at 300,000. So we bargained. Please, sir, can you bring it here? What? It's like, I don't trust you. Okay? So, this is a lesson. Okay? All the insecurities that we have, it is out of those people. Now, and we've had some people, so I told him to go and register somewhere and be skilled. He didn't tell me his name. I hopefully he went to be what? To be skilled, I told him. So, before it happens to you, let us all embrace each other and make sure that these initiatives, those people who are lacking these skills, we can have productive people, they can contribute something. I don't think executives are the ones who set up this platform here. I don't think executives are the ones who have put these writings here. I don't think the people with ties are the ones who print these things. I don't think the people here seated here are the ones preparing our meals. All these people can do something. They are Ugandans, they are here, so we need to listen to them. And the way the president has opened the way, and mainly the president has been emphasizing free education. and saying parliamentarians and what have you, those the people that be are blocking it. So we need to make sure, because those who start P1, only a few finish P7. And those who got secondary, then the graph goes on what? The pyramid goes on narrowing. So we need to make sure that all people are skilled so that they can get employable skills and get better. I say all this for God and my country.
Thank you, Raymond. I want us to leave the platform, but I'll invite Honorable Galawazi and hand over to him. But Raymond also challenged me because he reminded me of a sad story when I was still in primary school. I messed up in Kampala when I was in primary 5. My mother sent me to my grandmother in Mukono as a punishment. So when I went to the village, of course we were not putting on shoes, because not even the teacher wore a shoe. So life in the village, I've never been beaten in a class by a girl academically. I was always very bright. So now I went to the village and I met this girl called John. Joy beat me in the first. She was number 1, I was number 2, and there was another Ronald who was number 3. So we started competing, P6, P7. So we are the only 3 first grades in that primary school. Ronald's father had a friend in Makerere who heard that his friend's son had got a first grade. He took him to Mwiri. My grandmother had coffee at home, so they brought me to Kampala to Rubiri Secondary School. And we could sell our coffee as subsistence households that time. When I look back at the size of the land where grandma grew the coffee that educated me, it was roughly 2 acres. But she paid for my education in Rubiri SS. So many years later, I joined Makerere University and got a Bachelor of Commerce, a degree. Ronald went through Mwiri, went to Makerere University and got civil engineering. Joy, her father died in P7 when we finished, and she could not continue with higher education. So, by senior 2, she had started bearing children. When you look at her today, the difference between me and her is that we were privileged to pay for our own education to university. She could have been anything, a doctor, an engineer, name it. But because of lack of opportunity, she couldn't make it. And she's counted among the statistics of the poorest people in the country. What is the president doing? He is giving opportunities for people like Joy to have a second chance in life, to have something that they can sell in their household and pay for that important asset, education. I graduated, worked so hard. I worked in the City of London as one of the few licensed insolvency practitioners in that country, until I was touched, came back to Uganda. I was earning big. But I thought about people like Joy. I offered my life to come back and work for such people. So, as we speak today, this is a subject that is so dear to my heart that we should not joke about these poor people and we take them as statistics. They can be anything. We are just privileged that we got what we got and these people didn't. So our president is offering an opportunity for people like Joy who have not had the chance to be skilled in these hubs. Get a skill that can look after them and their children. Those who are still in school and have an opportunity to go to school, education is an equalizer over years. They should not miss the opportunity. As we work on ideas of industrialization and these big things that we see in Europe, but those people should not be in poverty. And that's why the principle of Musevenomics on inclusive growth is so important. So ladies and gentlemen, Join me to invite Honorable Galabs. I think he had run away after hearing my story.
And we're now Benson.
Oh, I thought my story kicked him away. So let me hand over to Honorable Galabuzi. There are a few people who want to ask questions.
As the power was also entrusted to me, I congratulate all those persons whose names have been read. The reward of the certificate level 1.
No, actually,
it is over.
The interaction is what we are looking for here. So thank you very much for your touching story, Edward. Every time I hear it, and thank you to the panelists here. Now, I had come with a glossy presentation to make. But after listening, and it was good that I got, I don't want to call it a feedback, but I got the thoughts of the members here about PDM, and I could hear some cheers around here when Professor was talking. Professor, with all due respect, I disagree with you 110%. Because of one issue. Not that I dismiss your opinion, but I just disagree. I just disagree, and like you said, it's okay to disagree. First and foremost, I've also noticed, Edward, and my team that is here, that we need to do a little more, not even a little, but a lot more sensitization for people to understand PDM in the context of Musevenomics, or in the context of development economics. When I heard Professor, and I'm sorry to keep on referring to you, I want to be politically correct, in a condescending voice, condescending presentation of some of the programs of the president and ideas and opinions he has over the economy. I then realized that we need to be more practical than theoretical. I realized that sitting in conferences and swinging on armed chairs in our offices and lecture rooms may not necessarily be helpful. And it's very good that this particular documentary of Kisoro, among the very many documentaries we can play for you here, in different parts of the country and regions of the country, success stories. It's very good that it played, and there was practical evidence. A person who got 1 million shillings, the 1 million shillings the likes of Professor think is little money, think that is peanuts, think that is tokenism. That 1 million shillings transforming someone's life, one that had lost hope, one that was vending all over the country, decided to go back home, borrow 1 million shillings, and make 16 million shillings in 8 months. I don't know whether you call that tokenism. And I think we should be a little more serious. And I'm sorry, I'm going to concentrate on Professor for one reason. If we could use your presentation skills, your acumen in convincing, you have a very good way of convincing people. I think that's why you're a lecturer. But use it positively. Let's try to use it positively. And for me, when I was starting the presentation and the historical background, I mentioned two fundamental issues. The first one was the purpose of leadership. Each of us here, because of the peculiar positions we hold in society, we're all leaders. Now, leadership requires that you understand and diagnose
the problems of the society. Have an ideology, strategy, and plan of execution. What exactly were we trying to solve here? We are trying to reduce on the subsistence in the country. These people are dependent, and I gave you a statistics. We have 51% that is soon getting into the so-called productive age, demographics. But we haven't planned for them. These underage, the ones who are below 16 years of age, they're the dependents. But even the 49%, out of those 49%, 38% of them are living subsistently. You look at our revenue collection, unfortunately, we don't have a URA person here, and you tell me the biggest taxpayers, or even the tax base we have here in Uganda, who are the people who pay taxes? 0.8% of that population pays taxes, or at least contributes to the revenues and the so-called taxpayer, the money we are talking about. The money that you want to invest in big industrial projects, big infrastructure projects. So, how are we going to widen the tax base? How are we going to get people involved in the money economy? However small it is, however little the contribution will be, they will be in the money economy, and baby steps. For us, the Baganda have a saying that kamukamu gwe muganda adiringana amawulu yagajjamu omukuto, that small sticks will create a bundle, and that if you keep on doing something over and over again, just changing modus operandi here and there with a similar objective, you will finally get satisfied and get results out of it. I also don't believe in some of the quotes you put here. But anyway, opinions are like noses, everyone has one. So I have an opinion, you have an opinion, and many people have opinions. But let us try to respect leadership and something that is very conceptual, like something that we conceived under the PDM. Now, enough of that ranting. I would like to, first of all, thank UDF for this opportunity to have a feedback or an interaction with the academia and the elite of this world, of this particular part of the world. But I would want to tell you something. There is a school of thought that says agrarian economies are backward and moribund. That for you to have to move, to leap from third world into a developed world until first world, you have to go away from agriculture and get into services and industry, like many people say. But you see, I have a different school of thought. These people that are advocating, all that use that particular methodology in the West, do not have a peculiar advantage in the agriculture sector. They don't. They don't have the good weather. They have to invest a lot for them to get high yields and productivity out of agriculture. It's not their peculiar entrepreneurial roadmap that they can take. For us, we have that advantage. We do have that advantage. And food is a basic need. If you feel that you want to go and take on their journey with different parameters, because they were premised on different parameters. Their journey was premised on different parameters and different situations. Ours is different. I don't believe in that school of thought. So, ladies and gentlemen, I like debating. I like debating, but probably this is not the right time to debate, most especially with the sugar levels really going low. But I am very happy and enticed to actually do much more than we are doing to prove the naysayers wrong. And Professor, before I leave, no bad feelings. I really need to get your number, and we have a debate
for even, if you want to lecture, if you want, it's okay, you can lecture me, but we shall have a debate up to morning, if that is the whatever. And you would also want to be there. My mom would also want to be there. So there are so many things I would have wanted to say today. But I will just leave it with one last thing. That our next battle in the PDM, after establishing and doing all these things that you're seeing, is to change the way we are doing things. We have been a production and supply-led economy. Now we want to change the approach to a market-led production and economy. And with that, we are concentrating on three components: market sourcing and creating proper targeted value chains. You see, he was talking about the potatoes. I went to Mandela and I told him there are so many PDM farmers in Kabale who are organized in these enterprise groups with so many potatoes. He told me, fine, he gave me someone. Go with him. When I got there, the man said, bring all of them, put the sacks there. Out of like 10 sacks, the man picked out 4 potatoes, 4, and said, this is what I can buy. And I asked him why. He said, this is the variety I need. The rest, I don't know what they're going to do. You know, potatoes have very many different varieties. Those that make chips, those that make crisps, those that make mashed potatoes, you know, they're all different. But we have a very, very undeveloped value chain right from supply up to the market. It's not jointed. There are only 2 commodities in Uganda that we have developed a very well thought out value chain. That is milk, of course, with the intervention of the president, and coffee. Probably maize to some extent, but even coffee not yet. We haven't yet reached there, but at least it has some semblance of organization. The rest, it is to whom it may concern. And there is no way we can make things work that way. So our next battle is market sourcing, targeted value chains, developing targeted value chains, and value chains that have some good chibaro. And of course, putting there the enablers. Now the enablers are things like extension services. But extension services from government may not be enough. We need extension services driven, community-driven extension services. And that's why we are introducing something called community-based facilitators. Anything that is community-driven will yield results even faster, but more sustainably than something that is imposed on you. That's why the PDM is promoting the bottom-up approach. So, Professor, one last thought. Hairdressing, sir. Hairdressing. And what was the other one you said? Is a skill. Tailoring is a skill. No, you don't, because we listen to you. We will respond later when we meet. It is a skill. The intention and the objective is to make people get some income. That is it. So it is just encourage us to have a skill. You're the ones who say we have a very unskilled population and it is very difficult to get jobs for them. We are now trying to skill them, then you're critiquing. But anyway, it is a very good discourse that we have had, and thank you very much for the time you've given this presentation and the time you've given to the conference. So thank you very much, and Edward, thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. Prof, as we discussed before the conference, I requested you to provoke us, and we have become so emotional on this side that we are responding directly.
Oh yes, I have to.
So your provocation worked. We have little time, colleagues. We have very little time. But I wanted to give 1 or 2 elders to also correct what the Honorable Galabuzi said. They are here. Both of them are former ministers. The other one was the custodian of our money for a long time. And another one was the head of our farming for a long time. So I want to give both of them, Honorable Victoria Sachoreko and Honorable Senda, a right to say something. Then for the rest, those who can take coffee, we can continue the conversation over coffee. Those who take beer, we can have a conversation over beer. But for now, I think we have to close. So Honorable Sachoreko and Honorable Senda. So people are complaining. Is it on?
Yeah. It is like 75.
Actually, mine is not
77.
to react to his statement. No. Otherwise, I certainly feel I share his views. The only one thing that he stated was those two items. I disagreed on the two items.
Coffee and...
Two items. And most importantly, coffee. I don't know how we get to address each other, but let me say, whoever finally has to communicate whatever we put together, that we accept, one, the revolution, the marketing and the arrangement under the the liberalization of coffee, liberalizing the marketing of coffee. Ever since coffee was really the monopoly of government to market, they set up the Coffee Marketing Board and so on. When I was Minister of State under Sir Richard Kichuka in the Ministry of Trade, that is the time when we liberalized the marketing as a result of government policy, liberalized the marketing of coffee. And in fact, he moved this duty from the Coffee Marketing Board and then licensed and set up UCDA, which has since been dissolved. The whole process has been moving on and moving, but not very smooth. Unfortunately, while there is this big demand, global demand for coffee, while we have we are getting a few days, while we're getting very good markets and so on, and recently we had a law passed on coffee, I think it was passed last year. We have to ensure that we implement that law, and very quickly. We have to implement that law very quickly. Why? The issue of quality, handling of coffee. Right now it is the harvesting period in Masaka. I am picking my coffee just like everybody does. But as I go around, those friends of mine who go to the western region and so on, if you get to Mbirizi, some of those areas where they are picking coffee today, you really see that in the yard, where they have dried the coffee, either it is on the bare floor or it is, if not only the bare floor, it is on a tarpaulin, but 50% of the produce of the coffee is green. I was, as a junior minister, my role was coffee. Again, when I was in Ministry of Trade, as a Minister of Trade. And I can tell you, the issue of quality is so vital to the coffee. And I'm pleading very sincerely with you friends as leaders in coffee growing areas. Kindly let's pay attention to this very important crop. Because it is food. This is food. So you just cannot handle it anywhere, anyhow. Handling it anyhow will deprive us of the privilege, opportunity that we are having of the high prices that we are earning today. Because even the actual act of marketing, when you are processing the market, you've got to ensure that the husbandry was done properly in the first place. The husbandry was done properly on the crop in the first place. Here we mean a lot. After we had the new law in place, what is it that is required? Is to ascertain that even the nursery beds, people who are going to run the nursery beds, the Ministry of Agriculture has to move to ensure they license, they handle the people who are handling the nursery beds, from which people, because everyone is enthusiastically going to coffee, but it is going to be a shame at the end of the day when we get either the price or losing out on the price because of the politics. That is one. Two, handling, post-harvest handling. How are you handling this coffee? Kindly let's handle the coffee properly. Some of us, our life depends totally on coffee. And if it is mishandled, that means a loss to all of us, and it means a lot to the earnings of foreign exchange in this country. That is what I wanted to put across.
I want to have a historical.
Thank you, Gerard. Now, the children, I'm glad that somebody came here to specifically address the children, because like I said, I'm over 60 and I'm in a minority. These are the majority. If we don't take care of them, they will take care of us in their own way. So I'm glad something is being done. Secondly, I have always asked this question and I'm not going to give up until somebody does something really sensible. I come from Nakawa, and if you are from Kampala, Nakawa has 3 technical colleges. We have got Lugogo, Nakawa Institute, then in Tinda. All those in just Nakawa. Now when you start putting up industrial hubs, in Nakawa we have got 3. That is not a problem. But for me, what I don't understand is why the 3 technical colleges are under-serving, they are half-empty, and then we got to put up makeshift colleges. When I keep asking the question, I'm told it is because those colleges require O-level or something like that. Honestly, when I used to be in government, I was powerful. Did the government lose power? Can't you manage that? So I'll leave that there. That is the question I want you to think about. Why can't you? It is okay to have those hubs, but really 6 months for anybody who has ever learned any skill. We learn by doing, and we perfect by practice. How much practice can you have on 1 computer or 10 computers if there are 100 of you? Let us use the little resources we have, maximum day. So that is my comment on that one. Now potatoes. Potatoes, onions, whatever. Uganda, we are in trouble. Basically because there is not a single value chain which is complete. Those people of the whole of Chigezi, Sebei, Nabujisu area, who grow onions, all the seeds of onions are imported from Europe. Or else you go to Tanzania and get something which looks like onions where you are not guaranteed. So if anybody was to cut us off, because whatever we are doing, we are competing with somebody else. If our competition is cut us off, just cut off the seeds. Now specifically on potatoes. The potato seeds we plant come from Netherlands. They go to Kachwekano. We turn them into planting material. Now let me tell you this. I know I don't want to tell stories, but this is true. When I was minister, we had agreed that Chigezi was going to be just breeding ground for potatoes. That all the potatoes grown in Chigezi were seeds. We even had a budget, and the money had been given to us, just like we got the money for the milk. Now, unfortunately, Kawale got another DC who had no idea what potatoes was all about. When the potato seed was ready, he said, "Oh, we need the potatoes." By the time we were ready to pay, they had eaten, sold, and whatever for potatoes. That was the beginning of the sad story for potatoes. So if you are from here and you are from Chigezi, this is what I want to advise. When I'm not here, my job is chairperson, Uganda Business Alliance. What do? We grow, develop, encourage, and promote value chains. We are the ones actually promoting the onion value chain. It is not easy. we had started with potatoes, and I think there is going to be a potato meeting very soon. But Uganda has nothing to show. So if you are from that area and you are interested in potatoes, I suggest we get together and see what we can do about this value chain. I thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I want to release my panel. Colleagues, I'm really sorry. Every good thing comes to an end. So I only apologize, but I told you we have a cup of coffee for those who have no problem with caffeine. But those who love a beer, you can continue the conversation until tomorrow because it's a weekend. So I want to say thank you very much for the time, and I hand over to our Masters of Ceremony to lead us into the next session. Thank you. But Dr. Muhumuza, I think, wanted to make a quick announcement very quickly because he loved this conversation and he came whispered to me that there is another forum where we can continue the debate. But let me allow him to say it, and then Mildred can take us to the next session.
The times of Honorable Gerard Sendaola and the others during the structure adjustment program, the Uganda Economics Association used to hold monthly meetings to have these discussions. We are bringing that back, and I just wanted to remind you that on the 10th of June, as we said at 2 p.m., Hotel Africana. We have venue for all of us. It hosts over 400, 500 people. Let's come and be there to restart these conversations on policy matters. So that announcement I thought shouldn't go away. And for those of you who are quoting in Nyerere that there should be lightweight and heavyweight, unfortunately the global economy is not structured that way. It's just like a national park. The antelopes, the lions, the buffaloes all live in the same space. If the buffaloes had where to go, they would have left the park. Same thing with the antelopes. So Uganda cannot create a Uganda of itself. We must live with America, with China in that national park. You just make sure, how do I avoid being gobbled up to extinction? Those are the discussions we are going to have at Africana 10th of January, and thereafter we shall be meeting at the British High Commissioner's residence, a few of us, to chew the card on selected topics for concrete, actionable points. Welcome. June, which is next month, and our subject will just have received the State of the Nation. So we already have what to discuss, even if there was nothing else. And in between the budget, 2 days after is the budget speech. So we are putting economists right where they belong, discussions.
All right, yes, 2 p.m. June, not January like he had said. Yeah, it's going to be June. So ladies and gentlemen, you know our discussion is fruitful, engaging, and eye-catching, or, you know, mind-blowing when people still have questions. If I asked to give a round of questions right now, you know we would leave here at 7 p.m. like yesterday. But I am not going to do that because our time is really, really fast spent. But I know that some of us joined us a little later on, and probably some had quite a lot of work to do, and you could have missed up on some of the conversations that did come through. And I am going to request that we'll have Dr. Birungi give us just a wrap-up, a sum-up of what our 2 days have constituted. And I want to thank you all for keeping here. Professor Kiza also at one point said Uganda is gifted by nature and cursed by elites. How many agree? I know we would now go into a conversation once again. Anyway, I was just bringing that up. But let's welcome Dr. Birungi to come and just give up a summation of what the 2 days looked like, and then he will let us know we'll be speaking last to close off this conversation.
Thank you, Mildred. My job is a simple one. In the interest of time, to try and take you through the last 2 days. You will appreciate that even when we were submitting, more new ideas were still coming up, so we may not have captured everything now. but for sure the team is busy working on a detailed report, and once we finish that report, it will be shared. As General said yesterday, it's important we produce a report of this meeting, and the Secretariat is working on that report. I know Her Excellency Lisa had been recognized, but I want to recognize her again because just last week we had very successful meetings. We had very successful meetings in UK. We had the Uganda Airlines Business Forum, very successful, and therefore welcomed Uganda Airlines to Gatwick. And then we have the East African UK Investment and Trade Forum. This lady, Lisa here, organized very, very successful meetings in the UK. So I request you clap for. I was privileged to be on the mission that was there in those discussions. So, on behalf of all the participants and the organizing committee of the conference 2025, we wish to express gratitude to all of you, our dear participants, for the last 2 days. We organized under the umbrella body called UDF, and Katende, who chaired this last session, was the man running behind the scenes. I think, I don't know where Katende is, he should come back for recognition. So all of you received emails, telephone calls, SMSs, and everything. This man is a star. So he managed to bring us all together for this meeting. Later on, I was privileged. He told me to chair the organizing committee, but to be sincere, he did the work. Okay, having noted that, we had a big committee. From UDC and from Operation Wealth Creation, from the different media teams, and you did a fantastic job. We thank you. I wouldn't stand here and even give a summary if I hadn't been permitted by my board chair, who has attended the 2 days quietly seated at the back. Chair UDC, Mr. Godfrey, please stand up for recognition. Godfrey Hurra chairs the board of UDC. He's been there. Yesterday we had other board members, but they are not around today. We noted that the Musevenomics conference is a result of the unwavering and visionary leadership of His Excellency the President of the Republic of Uganda, General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, that has transformed Uganda since 1986. We've had presentations from very many key Ugandans, including General Kalebak and Wanaho, Chairman UDF and the Chief Coordinator OWC. We had Honorable Norbert Mao, the Minister of Justice, yesterday. Today we had Dr. Mike Atingego, the Governor. Yesterday we had Professor Augustus Nwagaba, the Deputy Governor, Bank of Uganda. We had PSST. We had senior colleagues like Professor Suruma. You've just heard from Honorable Galabuzi. And so many of us, we all tried to make a contribution over the last 2 days. And it was a high-powered delegation of presentations and sharings on this. I will highlight the summary of key Sorry, before I got the summary, I note that first we started with the conference objective, which sought to achieve the following objectives. Number one, to enhance an appreciation of Musevenomics and its contribution to Uganda's economic development trajectory, to assess the relevance and applicability of Musevenomics principles in today's rapidly changing global environment, economic environment, and to develop actionable recommendations for accelerating Uganda's socio-economic transformation. So we are going to continue sharpening the recommendations and make sure they are sharp to reflect our intention. We noted that Musevenomics is basically built around 9 principles: awakening the sleeping giants, and that's the session we've just concluded; fostering value addition and industrialization, that's the session we did yesterday, and I was privileged to make the lead paper there. Lowering the cost of doing business, we also had a session on that. Land consolidation and tenure security, you had the points that General brought up in his presentation. Economic and political integration, and many others. So we had all these, and we noted that it was very difficult for us to go to the details of each of these in only 2 days. And we shall have more discussions going forward, as colleagues have highlighted, and Dr. Muhumza has also invited us for another meeting. In terms of key messages, that we pick from here, that there has been a lot of contribution as a result of intervention under Musevenomics, and it has led socio-economic development in this country, and there has been a lot of successes on macroeconomic stability, high economic growth rates, increasing the stock and quality of physical infrastructure, human capital, wealth. However, we also recognize that there are some challenges that continued to persist, which we'll highlight as we go along. We also noted that it's a subject matter that is not fixed, it's dynamic, and follows a pragmatic approach that integrates various political and economic ideologies. You heard from the presentation by Dr. Muhumza trying to relate Musevenomics to Marxism, Adam Smith theories, and other neoclassical economists. We noted that there were serious distortions in the factors of production, especially land and labor, land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. That's why we've been talking about the cost of capital, land for development, and what we need to do. General even made specific proposals on how we can improve that, but also Engineer Chibuka made a presentation on how we can clean up these distortions in the land markets. We heard from the governor today that we need to deepen the financial sector in order to achieve the tenfold growth strategy, and he came up with specific recommendations on bonds, diaspora bonds, and others that we need to put in place as part of the financial sector deepening. He also pushed for FinTech to promote financial inclusion, and that needs to be scaled up. But we also got very good proposals to help improve the circles, the FinTech approach, and so on and so forth. We noted that privatization was good, and it had significant impact in a way of promoting private sector-led growth, but we also noted that we need to have a stronger regulatory framework in the same respect. We noted innovative, I had already talked about the innovative utilization of land that Engineer Chibuka talked about, the case of Namunkekera Rural Industrial Center. The offtake model as a key in driving structured and viable commodity value chain was discussed. You had an example of Uganda breweries. And then tax incentives are key in fostering underdeveloped agriculture value chains was also discussed in that respect. The vision of a modern and integrated and self-sustaining economy with wealth creation for ordinary citizens at its core was discussed, and that is the subject matter that heated us up to the end of the meeting today. We noted from the presentation from NPA by Dr. Sman that we need to address certain key costs: transport, electricity, ICT, finance, regulatory, and others. And this was presented and referred to as the 6 highs. We also deliberated on community mobilization, and offering strategic guidance to economic agents is critical. We also had a strong discussion on building a strategic mixed economy model as envisioned in the 10-point program. I think that's 1986, 10-point program, where the state and the private sector co-invest in enterprise development. I brought up the idea of the role of the state, or the role of development state, in my presentation yesterday. I will not go through all the achievements that were mentioned here, but there were achievements around macroeconomic stability, achievements around infrastructure expansion, achievements around coffee market reforms, and so on and so forth. We discussed and noted industrialization models, and Kapeka gave us a very good example where industrialization is rooted in local ownership, local value addition and agro-processing, growth of agro-processing farms like Nile Breweries, which now sources inputs from Uganda, 35,000 plus Ugandans and farmers, and then the money that is plowed back. We noted all these as different models and approaches, and that need to be studied, developed, and encouraged to continue. On domestic capital accumulation, we noted the rise of NSSF as a major institutional investor, growing from 5.5 trillion up to 25.5 trillion in 2025, now exploring impact-based investments. I also mentioned that UDC and NSSF, we are working together to establish a national marketing company, but also the MD of NSSF told us of other social impact investments that are being planned. You remember the 1%. Strategic policy, long-term planning, a shift towards household-centered economic planning and prioritization of cost of doing business, reforms through the 6 highs. I've already mentioned that, I think. Now, the challenges which have persisted, one is protecting and growing local capital. We realized that liberalization in the 90s allowed multinational capital to displace emerging local enterprise, especially in the banking and manufacturing. Uganda failed to build on its own Samsung or Hyundai, and I think the point by the gentleman who spoke in Uganda here, but also the governor, the deputy governor yesterday was clear about the need for a domestic financial institution. Deepening financial markets remained a subject matter, so we are picking this up seriously as a matter for further discussion, but also a matter of to find solutions. Resolving land constraints, again you heard from General, even proposed studies on Kampala, the land of Kampala, and who owns the land and stuff like that. So we'll follow up on this and make sure we get better understanding of this. Labor and skills alignment has been discussed even in the last session here. Regulation came out clearly, even Honorable Gerard Sendaola mentioned it for the case of coffee. But most important was equal treatment of local and international investors, but also support to SMEs. Mindset change came up as part of our discussion. We also noted factories are still operating at low capacity because of a market problem, so a market issue needs to be addressed. The national debt situation, this is again another topic that we agreed we are going to have further interrogation and discussion. A bloated civil service came in as well, that there is still more need to restructure and reform the civil service and increase their pay. Persistence of corruption also came up in the discussions. Volatility in prices, again, and the need for a stabilization fund was also discussed, and these are some of the things we'll pick up in the financing model. Delayed payment of government debt to the suppliers and service providers came up very strongly, and then the unfavorable tax policies also came up very, very strongly. We'll share the detailed report, but in terms of key recommendations, the first recommendation was on strengthen and integrate national value chains, and there are quite a number of things there to do, and we'll discuss this, developing the value chains, investments like in cold storage and aggregation centers, de-risking upstream activities, and also raw materials to make sure that we don't have many white elephants. Recommendation number 2 was on market-led industrialization, engagement in the ESC and the African Free Continental Trade Area markets, addressing capacity underutilization, but also establishing the national marketing company. This we are on track to achieve. On strengthening infrastructure for industrial growth, we continue to say we need more parks, different types of parks. You heard from the PSST and the ATMs and how these parks are going to be constructed. Deploying public resources to the sectors or ecosystem with high economic returns was also discussed. Even the PSST highlighted the transport, the energy, and adaptable IT systems. Strengthening institutional and policy coordination actions to promote a whole government approach and a programmatic approach to industrialization, enhancing and enforcement of local content policies, product standards and trade facilitation, skilled workforce development. These are some of the issues. We are going to sharpen them as we go along. To promote technology innovation came up strongly, especially for our youth. Capitalize the Industrial and Economic Development Fund. This came from my earlier presentation yesterday. De-risk and unlock the factors of production. We had a case of land that came from General Saleh yesterday that I talked about. I think I've talked about some of these things. So we've agreed that some areas require further discussions. We also agreed to tackle the 6 highs in the usual government approach, but some of these discussions require more time and engagement, like the cost of capital is a day on its own. Electricity, transport, ICT, and we had very many leaders of the sectors yesterday that made responses to some of these issues. Empower local enterprises, we had this discussion yesterday as well. Invest in institutional capability and policy follow-throughs. Follow through the roadmap that Professor Suruma talked about. Unlock long-term financial markets. I've talked about that already, and capitalization of development finance institutions also came out very strongly. UDC and UDB, but also to capitalize agriculture credit facility and small business recovery fund. So these are some of the issues that the team were able to capture very quickly, and as you saw, I wasn't typing or writing anything, so I would like us to recognize the team of rapporteurs seated. You should stand up for recognition. The team of rapporteurs that captured these very quickly, and I promise they will give you a more detailed report, and it will be shared with all of you so that you get to know what the final report looks like. And we will continue to invite you for further engagements to make sure that there is an implementation agenda to this effect. On that note, may I call my friend and a big man. We used to be friends, now we are no longer, because he became much bigger, the Deputy Governor, Professor, to come and say a few words and close this meeting so that people can go for lunch. Professor, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I think we need a big round of applause to ourselves. And before we do that, I just want to call one sister of ours here. Let us call one of our sisters here. She's becoming a Ugandan and she knows herself. I think she can come here on the podium and then we close the meeting. Our big sister here, she's called Her Excellency Lisa Chesney. He's our newest British High Commissioner to Uganda. We are most welcome to Uganda. You can greet these people. These are the people you are going to work with. She's just here for 6 months, but I think you are not regretting. We have pineapples. We have the best pineapples in the world. We have the best fruits in the world. We are the only people with mountain gorillas in the world, 192 countries. So you can greet your people who you are going to work with, and then I will close the meeting.
Thank you, Deputy Governor. Well, let me say then, if I'm becoming Ugandan, mwebale inyo for the great welcome that you for the welcome that you give me. I've learned 3 things in my 6 months in Uganda. Yes, the avocados and pineapples are absolutely the best in the world, and I'm telling everyone. I've learned never to trust when a boda is signalling. They're just not going to go in the direction you think they're in. That's my lesson learned. And I've also learned that a lot of time when people stand up to speak in Uganda and they say, "Let me be brief," they are not. So I'm going to be brief. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you for letting me be here today. My team's been here since the start of yesterday. All these challenges around growth, around the economy, they're global right now.
take shape in different forms wherever you sit. But the key to me is collaboration, stimulation, and challenging ourselves. And I really respect how you're doing that. I'm listening and learning, and the UK will continue. We've got all sorts of exciting things happening, as the Deputy Governor knows, between the UK and Uganda about mutual growth, and we'll carry on doing the same. But thank you for letting me be part of today.
Thank you so much. So ladies and gentlemen, we are very glad to close this meeting. So I will be very, very brief. I don't want to stand between your lunch, but I just wanted to also tell Lisa that we also have the best borders. So, ladies and gentlemen, the subject matter which we have been addressing for 2 days, which my friend Patrick has explained, is that we have been talking about economics. Now, economics, in brief, we are dealing with a social science. I don't know those who remember. Do you remember that potassium, sodium, those who are in the senior one and you are in the chemistry class, you are not dodging and you have not counted 9, that we are already going to get 9 and you are not bothering about science. Is that economics is a social science, it is not a natural science. Because you know that sodium and potassium, these are group 1, you remember, alkali metals. Sodium has got 11, if you remember in the periodic table, the atomic energy is 11, 1s2, 2s2, 2p6. You have potassium, which is also in group 1, and period 4, and it has 19, and when you mix these now with, for example, nitric acid, potassium will jump, and because of the higher ion component, and you form potassium, if you remember, nitrate. Sodium will form potassium what? Nitrate. This is in the University of Harvard, it is in the University of China in Beijing, it is in the University of Ustema, it is in the University of Lira, it is in the University of Guru, it is in the University of Kaberamaido. Everybody knows that. Now what we are dealing with here is absolutely different from that. And that's what I want everybody to know. Here we are dealing with a social science. Economics is a social science. And it deals with very simple things. In economics, we deal with use of limited resources to satisfy unlimited needs. It is not unlimited wants or unlimited greed. The way Ugandans you are just become greedy. There is no economics which will satisfy greedy people. The economics we all know is to satisfy unlimited needs. And the need is different from a want, it is different from greed. Professor Kamut is here. We are both from London School of Economics. You know that. Others from University of Cambridge. We have there what you call Keynesian economics. This is when the role of government is intervening to create this demand and then this supply of services. And then we have things like Chinomics, which is state capitalism, where now China is in the middle of American brutal capitalism, you see, predatory capitalism. And then in between, of course, Russia and the former communists. And they have what you call Chinomics, which is use of capital, which is use of government corporations to do business, state capitalism. That's why you cannot compete with China now. Some of you are using predatory capitalism. And then you have something like normative economics, people like Todaro. These are type of economics which deals with, I do what you want me to do. I tell you what you want me to say. And here in Uganda we have normative politicians. You want me to tell you, oh yes sir, yes sir, yes sir. How are you going to know that you are doing something right or wrong? You don't talk normative and build a country. A country is built on objectivity, on science. Objectivity, verification, and something is verifiable, is objective, is therefore valid. and therefore it is scientific. Then you have other types of economics which are liberal economics, UK. Then some of us, political economists, the entire University of London and so on, and the University of London was the best university was in the UK 2 days ago. Our University of London, we want to congratulate it, was the best university, especially the part of economics, best economics discipline taught in the world. These are liberal economists. For them, they are saying everybody is free to do things, sell your coffee, grow it, sell it the way you want to sell that coffee. So what we have been doing here in Uganda is Musevenomics. Looking at what President Museveni has done for the last 40 years, since 1986, the policies followed. And they are basically 9. And he started with, of course, people like Ricardo, Stuart Mills, Adam Smith, you know, when the president was writing the vulnerable against real economists, these were following these Ricardos. You remember principles of comparative advantage, which we moved away now to competitive advantage and so on. So all of those have been discussed here. So what we want to agree with you is that we have been in an intellectual discourse. Here, this meeting has been exchanging ideas intellectually. And so if I speak on behalf of government, as I think the most senior government official here, we accept, I want to speak on behalf of government now, that we accept intellectual discourse. That's why we brought this thing here. I want to congratulate Edward Katende, who is our CEO. Can he still stand up for recognition? Edward, as we close. And the entire team, our team, the entire team of UDF. That's why for us as UDF, with our chairman, General Kereb Akangwanaho, retired, Salimu Saleh, is our chairman of Uganda Development Forum. He is deputized by none other than Honorable Mao Nobat, who made a very thrilling presentation here yesterday. And then we have our CEO, Edward, and many other of us people who are in this think tank that sits together to bring these issues here. And what we required you to do was to discuss those issues. And of course, we allow dissent. This is what social science is about. I've already told you the difference between science and social science. So we don't want you to shift us from social science to science. If you want a scientific conference, you can come to Mulago and we can discuss other things in Mulago. In our Uganda, Makerere University Medical School, which again is one of the best medical schools in the world. If you wanted to know this, you travel and see how people revere our medical school. Though there, if you come to our university, Makerere University Medical School, which is one of the best medical schools currently we have globally, then you are discussing something and all of you must agree that this. But also, I'm sure, also they are coming up these days with different ways in which, for example, you can treat certain diseases, especially which are emerging. So it is healthy. What is the professor saying? It is healthy to have difference in opinions and views. What is important is for us to recognize facts. And that's why I wanted the people who are presenting here, you should have been able to bring data, because numbers don't lie. Let me give you some of the examples as we close, and then we sit down. From in financial year 2017-2018, just at the end of the First World War, the budget, the Ugandan budget, was 2,443,147, and it was in pounds. Those who are Ugandans, you know the reason why. And we had a surplus budget. I think Honorable Senator was still here. In 2017-2018, when the First World War was closing, we had a surplus budget. The issue, I was at the bridge, I was thrilled to see why did we have a surplus budget financial year 2017-2018. I went to our library. We have one of the biggest libraries in London, the British Library of Economic and Political Science, just at the London School of Economics, Portugal Street. The reason, just see one reason, why we had the surplus budget was that at that time, coffee was being introduced up to those specific years, and the crops which were being sold, the extension services and the focus on quality of those products was the magic bullet that was bringing that surplus budget. So government was earning, the state colonial government was earning a lot of money in those crops because of emphasis on quality. So this conference we want to emphasize quality. Tea is suffering not because of any, those of you who are thinking that there is international politics, international business, key instruments of global economic governance. There is no key instrument of global economic governance that is determining the price of tea. The price of tea has plummeted simply because of failure to pick the right, those two leaves, and you are picking the third one. And those who come from Chijura, from Bushenyi, you know the reasons why. As a result of that, you have failed to pick the right leaves, and the price of tea has plummeted. The price of tea has gone down to levels which are unprecedented. Just because of your failure to be good people, your bad manners, you have just decided to be bad-mannered, and you see the problems. So that the point number 2 is foreign direct investment. In the financial year 1985-86, foreign direct investment was negative. It was negatives. There was nobody who was bringing money here. Currently, what the value of foreign direct investment, these are issues which they should have brought here, and nobody. If you think that foreign direct investment last year was not 3.8 billion, you come here, you just come here, and we speak English here. Just put up your hand and come here if you have a different figure. The money we earned from tourism in 2019, financial year 2018-19 was $1.7 billion. The money we earned from Kadamas, these girls who are in Oman, who are in Jordan, whom you are saying that they shouldn't be there, they should remain here and get married at the age of 12 and so on, they bring here $900 million. If you have a different figure, come here, nobody is stopping you. No one is stopping you. Let's use data, and then we can see what you are saying and what other people are saying. Where did you study from, and where did the others study from is not an issue. That's not an issue. That's not an issue. Whether you are in Namagunga, whether you are in Budo, whether you are in London, whether you studied in Kabale, what we want to know is that are you brilliant enough to demonstrate the issue using data? If you are, come. Just nobody stopping you. Come. So that you don't mislead these good people who are here. So that's what we want, that let's be a country that is driven by data, and some of us will have data which will be very, very important. For us at the Bank of Uganda, as we finish, we will have data. We have got a very strong monetary policy department. It is within our research and statistics department, directorate, and we have controlled inflation. For example, you need to recognize that we have controlled inflation. Uganda is a country which has controlled macroeconomic stability, and there was it's a model. It's a model. Everybody comes to see how we do it. It's just a model. Inflation in the 1986 financial year 87 was 161.1%, just like the current one in Argentina recently, and Venezuela 437. Zimbabwe 6,086. I was from 161.1 to now 3.9. Core headline 3.4. Average, okay, average about 3.6%. If you have a different figure, come and demonstrate it. Nobody will stop you. So that when we are discussing, we discuss and inform the people, inform Ugandans, inform the world with the data. And some of us who are coming from the university, with a background from Makerere University and other universities, we have data that, for us, we are made of data. It is that which has made us what we are. It is not on lies, it is not on opinions, it is not on we want to argue with you and we fight it out with the data. That's why this government loves evidence-based information. And for us in the Bank of Uganda, we are very glad my governor was here. The morning he told you that we have money, he must have told you in the morning that we have quite significant amount of money, for example, in agricultural credit facility, which you need to make use of. And that money is in the central bank, but is managed by commercial banks. As you all know, a central bank doesn't deal with the people, it deals with the commercial banks and government. So we have commercial banks which manage that money. We also have the Small Business Recovery Fund. We want you to come and use that money and make use of it, make your business. The reason why we have that agricultural credit facility, SCF, is that the interest rate is low. It's about 12%. The one in commercial banks is 18, sometimes 20. So we think that our interest rate is still low, relatively low. It doesn't demarketize the other ones, but it is very good for you to use. So we want to thank everybody who has turned up for this meeting, and many things have taken place. And we want to thank again our chairman, General Kerry Bakangwana, for putting this together and for mobilizing us and for thinking together with our team, led by Edward, and our sponsors, UDC, and others who have come together to have this intellectual debate. We thank Dr. Muumuza, who started this meeting with very thrilling presentation on Musevenomics and its origin. I've now described to you the different types of economics, and I've told you finally that as Ugandans, I want to end up also in Chigara Nyankole again. Then I can't finish without. We got this one proverb which my mother taught me. My mother tells me, my mother abachiga barya ni mwara w'abachimbi. Ya ni mwara w'abachimbira akarukunjira w'aba professor kagonyera. I think you should also have been a professor, because for me most of the things I know, that she contributed 70% through tacit knowledge. It's not I didn't study these things from London and the others. My mother contributed 70%. My mother tells you one thing, that do not fret because of evil men in Ruchiga, or be envious of those who do wrong. Like morning dew, they will wither. Like green grass, they will dry away. Do good. Any country which has developed has done good, you people. You got Singapore. Singapore is a country now where you all want to go. The way you see how they have done good. And everybody now in Singapore say, I'm a Singaporean, I love Singapore. Go to South Korea under General Park. Changi with his daughter Park Gwan-hye. Go to Malaysia under Badewa, and so on. These are countries which have had a type of economics, which is economics built on goodness. Economics built on nationalism. They're just like German economic solidarity. You want people to partake of what is due to them. But for you, the Africans, if you continue thinking that you are going to continue living on the savings of others, that you are going to continue thinking America and Britain and these other G7 countries are going to be the ones to pay for your medicine, we shall tell where you will be 10 years to come. We are going still to be on the same level. Let us all do what you are supposed to do. Then government will do what the government is supposed to do. Just read my book. I put 8 things there. Nwagaba 8 model. You do 6 things there. Then the government will do only 2. Infrastructure, providing energy, hospitals, so that again when the border is riding up the border, doesn't come home and then the guy is sick and then the other money is now uses to buy medicine. Because that's now is working in reverse gear. So there are certain things which government does. There are also certain things which you must do as an individual. Government cannot do what you are supposed to do. Neither can you do government things which government must. Can you build a dam, for example? You can't build a dam. So government produces electricity, but it's not the government produces electricity for you to do business and you use that electricity. Not again for you sleeping and you are even leaving all lights there. because now you have electricity. So we thank you. We thank the media. We thank Mildred and my friend Charles. Thank you so much. We are going to ask you that you support the financial sector. Let me be very, very selfish. I'm representing the financial sector here. On the selfish note, we want a very sound financial system for Uganda. We want price stability. And once we have those two, we shall have foreign direct investment and domestic investment, and you cannot grow unless you have those two. So let's attract both domestic and foreign direct investment. For us, we are ready to provide you with the services from the central bank which you want, and we are determined to do that, and we have capacity to do that, and that's what we are doing already. And for us, don't let us down. This is a beautiful country. You have already been told it is a country where everybody wants to be, and don't be greedy. Have economics which is a limited means of satisfying unlimited needs, and for us we are going to do that if you help us. Thank you very much, people of God, and God bless you for God and our country.
Here's your chance to win school fees for your child for a whole year. Just pay school fees using Momo.